That's Jamal from number 5, master of bin day in the car park. Our group chat would be lost without him. Oh, more Fox Fight videos. It's sweet and constant. I mean, what kind of a phone contract is he on?
Well, here at Tesco Mobile, we've frozen the price of his contract with club card prices, so he doesn't have to worry about his price going up. Shall I sign you up too?
Go on then.
It pays to be connected. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. Terms apply. See tescomobile.com/frozen prices.
Oh, Jamie's got a new car. He only passed his test last week. Chloe and the kids on the school run in their new hybrid, and the Flemings from 23 off to see their daughter at uni. Get car and van insurance that's right up your street at parkerscompare.com. Created by the experts at Parkers, we're 100% independent and dedicated to helping you find the right insurance policy. Quick and easy, you could compare quotes in just 5 minutes from some of the UK's leading providers. For car insurance comparisons you can trust, visit parkerscompare.com. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. See website for details.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Lucas Volvo. The full electric range is now available on Motability.
It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard as we bring back league action after the international break, and the Scottish Premiership is back with a bang. A top of the table clash between Celtic and Aberdeen. Neil Critchley takes charge of Hearts for the first time against St Mirren, but no Simo Valakari in the St Johnstone dugout against Ross County. Motherwell host Dundee. Dundee United welcome Hibs, and then of course Rangers head to Kilmarnock tomorrow. I'm Gordon Duncan, and joining me in the studio you have Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevans.
Jimmy Thielen says that Aberdeen will play in a way that is true to themselves at Celtic Park. Brendan Rodgers says Celtic will operate in a way that is compatible with his principles on how the game should be played. That, for me, is a statement of intent from two managers which guarantees an epic game in the East End of Glasgow. You're never too old to be inspired, enthused and encouraged. And that's the way I and tens of thousands of others feel about that game today, Mark.
Well, it's only the 8th game of the season and it's been built up, but that's because of Aberdeen's form, and you've got to give them great credit of how they've started this season. But they come up against a Celtic side who look unstoppable domestically, so it's going to be a cracker. Everyone's looking forward to it, and the interesting thing is, how does Jimmy Thielen take his Aberdeen team to Celtic Park? Does he do what Aberdeen managers have done in the past and sit back and try and defend for his life, or does he go at Celtic? That'll be the interesting one today. It's
been a long time since we've ever hyped up a Celtic and Aberdeen game, but I think everybody is looking forward to this. Celtic obviously up there, firm favourites at home. Aberdeen off to a terrific start, but then you look down the other fixtures, a lot of good fixtures, a lot of important fixtures, and then on to tomorrow, Kilmarnock Rangers.
So much to look forward to. Strap yourselves in, because you look at that fixture list today, we are guaranteed drama, we're guaranteed talking points, and we'll find out which way they go as the afternoon progresses. Of course, later we will give you the chance to get in touch on the phones and let us know what you're thinking. Of course, we'll look ahead to tomorrow's games as well, but right now there is only one place to start. The 19th of October, we have a top of the table clash. It does not involve the two Glasgow teams. Both have won all their matches. Let's go to Celtic Park for Celtic against Aberdeen with Gabriel.
Yes, as you say, Gordon, it's first v second here. A huge clash at the top. Something has to give between the league's two perfect teams. They've both been flawless so far. 7 games each, 7 wins each. The Dons are the only team in Europe to have won all of their games in all competitions this campaign. 13 from 13. It's hard to believe what a turnaround it's been in the Northeast, but they haven't faced anything like this yet. Brendan Rodgers' side have swept all in Scotland for the last 6 months, but they too are yet to face Jimmy Thielen's Reds. Could this be one of the turning points in the season, the moment where the title race really begins, whichever way it goes? Let's go on to the team news then. Just one change for Celtic since their 2-1 victory away to Ross County 2 weekends ago. Kyogo comes in for Adam Eder, who drops to the bench. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Greg Taylor remain sidelined through injury. Rayo Hatate is preferred to Paolo Bernardo in the middle of the park. So it'll be Kasper Schmeichel in goal. A defensive, Alistair Johnson, Austin Trusty, Liam Scales and Alex Baye. Callum McGregor, Rayo Hatate and Arne Engels at the midfield 3. Nicholas Kuhn and Dazen Maida are out wide with Kyogo through the middle. The substitutes, Sinisalo, Palmer, Eder, Yang, McCowan, Welsh, Bernardo, Forrest and Ralston. The visitors name an unchanged side. Jimmy Tillin sticking with the 11 who beat Hearts last time out. Is that a sign that he's going to stick to his principles and not shift his game plan? We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. It is a 4-3-3 formation for Aberdeen. Dimitar Mitov in goal, Nicky Devlin, Gavin Malloy, Slobodan Rubizic and Jack McKenzie at the back. Graham Shinney, Sivert Helter-Nilsson and Leighton Clarkson in the middle. It'll be Topi Keskinen and Jamie McGrath out wide with Kevin Nisbet up top. Duhan, Duke, Bezuyan, Palaversa, Sockler, Morris, Milne, McDonald and Ambrose are the substitutes. The referee here will be Nick Walsh and VAR is being run by Greg Atkin.
Mark Wilson, what jumps out from that Celtic team then? Clearly a couple of absentees ahead of not only today but Europe during the week.
Well, when you look at the back four, Carter Vickers is obviously a big miss, and Trustees remains in there. Alex Valle, left back. Now, it's an opportunity for him, obviously coming through at Barcelona. You think there's a player in there, and I think over recent weeks he's looked a bit better than he did in his debut. So it's a big afternoon for him. The midfield area, I think, is always interesting for Celtic, just because they've got an embarrassment of riches. Thought Luke McCowan did well up in Dingwall, but I don't think there was any question who was going to start today. Brendan Rodgers went for the big hitters, went for McGregor, who's always there, Engels off one side, and that one off the left. Was it going to be Bernardo, McCowan? Nope, it's Hatate, and I think he's bang on with that one. So really strong team. Brendan Rodgers knows the significance of the game. He knows what they're up against, and they're going all out. Never mind Wednesday night's game.
And Gordon, a strong Aberdeen team, that's the whole point. Obviously, they don't get to this position through luck. It's a strong squad they've got at the moment. They're able to carry one or two injuries. You look at the strength of the bench and so on. They've got various players in good form in different positions.
Yeah, I think we're all looking to see how the manager's going to approach us. He's a very attacking manager, but it's different going to Celtic Park against the league leaders and the quality that Celtic have got in their ranks. But he's got some good attacking options out there. Clarkson, we know what he can do for set plays. Nisbet, I think, give him chances, he will score goals, and he's been a terrific signing. McGrath been in good form, and obviously you look at the two fullbacks and Devlin and Mackenzie, who've been involved in the Scotland squad as well, Gordon. So a lot of confidence going along there, and I think a lot of Don's fans confident as well. But for me, it's still a big ask.
You have to go back 6 years to find the last Aberdeen victory at Celtic Park. It was on the final day of the season when all matters had been decided. Andy Considine got the goal, but this is a different matter altogether. This is a match which has grabbed the attention of the country, and it doesn't contain Celtic and Rangers. It contains one of them, Celtic, and the upstarts, who would be the team thinking of themselves as splitting the old firm in the league table. Well, today will tell us if they have the makings of a side able to do that very significant thing.
Yeah, let's bring some of the top team who are around the other grounds looking forward to the 3 o'clock games. But I think this is a game that's got everyone talking. Clearly, Roger, Hannah, just how significant a fixture is this? How good is it for us to have a top of the table clash like this one at this stage of the season?
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful, Gordon. It's not just top of the table, it's two teams with perfect league records. As Gabriel said, 13 wins in all competitions for Aberdeen. I wonder what price you'd have got in that when Jimmy Taylor was appointed in the summer. But this will be the biggest day in Jimmy Taylor's football career. Aberdeen's last 4 visits to Parkhead: 6-0, 5-0, 4-0, 2-0. No Aberdeen player has scored since Lewis Ferguson from the penalty spot 3 years ago. No Aberdeen player has scored from open play at Celtic Park since Sam Cosgrove 5 years ago. As Hugh says, there's not been a winner since Andy Considine 6 years ago, and it's 9 straight defeats for Aberdeen at Celtic Park. this wouldn't just be big for Jimmy Tillon. A win or even a point for Aberdeen today would be absolutely enormous for the football club, and would signify the return of Aberdeen as something of a force in Scottish football.
Look, Fraser, there's an obvious realisation here. We're just conditioned. We know that if there's a top of the table clash, if it's first against second, it tends to involve Glasgow's big two. So I don't think this is any sort of slight on Rangers. It's no offence, Rangers. It's just people are enjoying the novelty factor almost, if that's the right phrase.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been brilliant to see Aberdeen start to the season. I think today will be a mark on the ground, a measure of how far they've come, because I think Celtic will be absolutely up for this one, and they'll come out flying, treating this like it's a European night. So Aberdeen are going to have to weather an early storm. But if we're going to have good Scottish football, and we all want the best for Scottish football, we need Aberdeen up at the top, challenging the Old Firm. We need Hearts, we need Hibs, and it's rare that we get all three. You think last season it was Hearts up near the top of the table, Aberdeen were terrible. This year it's Aberdeen are near the top, Hearts and Hibs really struggling at the start of the season. If we could just get those three there, then we might have a more interesting title race. But this will be a real marker. I know the criticism a couple of weeks ago was, who have they played? They've played the sort of bottom half of the table, if you like, in terms of size, but they got the result against Hearts, although I think Hearts played well and could have got a point. But now they've got Celtic today, they've got Rangers coming up in the Cup, they've got Rangers in the league as well coming up. So now in the next few weeks, we'll see the measure of Jimmy Tillon's team. But no doubt he's had a great impact, and it's just brought a bit of excitement. Really looking forward to this game. Yeah, same for you, David Friel. I know you are regularly up at Lennoxtown and speaking to Brendan Rodgers, and it feels like there is how could there not be a realisation there that this is an opponent that Celtic can't take lightly this time.
Gordon, he's got full respect for Jimmy Tillon and Aberdeen. I think Brendan Rodgers spoke about it yesterday at length, and I thought it was quite interesting when he spoke about the coaching time Jimmy Tillon has had. Fraser mentioned it there, and people do throw this at Aberdeen, who have they played, but I think it is valid. They've played 6 League Cup games, so they've played against every single one of them low league opposition, so he's not had European football, he's had time in the training ground. I think he's used it well, but I think now this run of games coming up will really tell you how far Aberdeen have come. I've been impressed by Jimmy Tillon, but I'm also very sceptical about this Aberdeen side and how good they are, to be perfectly honest with you, because I don't think they could have had a more favourable run of fixtures since the start of the season than they have had, and I think they've got a huge test today. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Celtic win this game comfortably.
Well, this is the thing, Hugh Keevans, we spoke about it last night. The form of Aberdeen doesn't seem to have changed the fact that Celtic are massive favourites. I keep saying it, please gamble responsibly. I had a look, 9-1, 10-1, 11-1. That's roughly the prices you're getting for Aberdeen to win here, which shouldn't really be the way it works. If you think of most leagues and there are two teams that have won every game and they're neck and neck, but there is that unavoidable fact that Celtic operate in a different stratosphere and massive favourites.
They operate in a different stratosphere because they have the financial wherewithal to work in a different stratosphere. Engels, £11 million. Adam Ida is a £9 million player and can't get a start. But if I were Jimmy Tillon, that would be my motivation speech today, because I would point out that everyone has dismissed your chances. I personally dismiss the 6 games that were not played in the Premiership. That was against lower league opposition. But if you beat 7 of your peers, and theoretically everyone in the Premiership is a peer, you're beating 7 of your peers in a row, they are entitled to a modicum of respect. If they beat Celtic, they are entitled to every word of praise that comes their way, but it will be an almighty ask.
I suppose, Roger, this doesn't have to define Aberdeen though. We're all putting emphasis on it, and yes, if they don't win the game, or if Celtic win comfortably, people will say that the bubble's burst, or whatever the phrase is, or this just shows you that they've not had a significant test yet. But once the dust settles, you would still have been 3 points behind Celtic come late October.
Yeah, and 19 ahead of Hearts, so you would think would be their biggest rivals for third place. Jimmy Tillon was very hot on that topic yesterday, as you say, Gordon. whatever happens today won't define Aberdeen's season. If you were to say to them at the start of the season, I'll tell you what, lads, when they win 13 games and lose at Celtic Park, they would undoubtedly have taken that. But it's been built up in the eyes of their fans as being an enormous encounter. The players are bound to be really, really on it for this game, particularly the likes of Nicky Devlin, a Scotland debut in midweek, Jack McKenzie on the bench for Scotland for the first time in those 2 Nations League games, Kevin Nisbet back in among the Scotland squad. So individually the players are being rewarded for Aberdeen's fantastic start to the season. They're in a very good place, they will come, they will give it everything they've got. I just agree with David, I just think there's still a chasm in quality between the two sides.
But you, Fraser, how much of the real deal do you think Aberdeen have been or will be going forward?
I think this is the test that we spoke about earlier on. I've got a wee feeling with the lads that Celtic will come out flying and will get an early goal and will win it by a couple of goals and fairly comfortably. And why shouldn't they? When you look at Hugh talking there about the signs of Adam Ida and Engels, just in the last week of the transfer window, those 2 transfer fees alone were more than Aberdeen's income. So we shouldn't expect too much. But you never know in a one-off. But I do think that Celtic will win this game and win it comfortably, because they'll just want to really show that they are the best team and by far. But really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Aberdeen cope. How do they set up? He's got Keskinen, a good signing. Jimmy McGrath playing off the left hand side has been outstanding so far. You know, Nielsen in midfield looks a good player, a good pro, steady and strong beside Shinnie. They're going to make it difficult for Celtic, but I just think Celtic will win this game. But as I say, I don't think that's a marker for the whole season for Aberdeen. Their position is they want to get third and get into Europe next year, and if they can do that, and they're far ahead of what we see as their local rivals at the moment, then if they can do that, that's going to be a successful season.
Yeah, I mean, Gabriel, I suppose it's testament to the job the manager's done, that the optimism that's coming down with those Aberdeen fans who've made the trip down, because it's not like this has been a good place for them in recent seasons. It's a very difficult record that they've got at Celtic Park and in the fixture generally.
Yeah, Gordon, as you say there, just to go further into the statistics, you touched on it right at the start. The last time they beat Celtic was May 2018. That's 25 games, which is a shocking record when you consider that Aberdeen over the past 6 years have either been the 3rd or 4th best team in the country. To not win in 25 meetings is unbelievable. Their last 3 trips to Parkhead, 4-0 Celtic, 5-0 Celtic, 6-0 Celtic. So it's not good reading for Don supporters. However, a few of them coming down the road today, just starting to fill out to the right of me, will be looking at it the other way. They've won 13 out of 13 this season. They were the last Scottish team that Celtic didn't beat, Gordon. That was back in April under Peter Leven, a 3-3 draw at Hampden in that Scottish Cup semi-final before they eventually lost on penalties. And if you go to the game before that as well, Celtic found it really tough at Pittodrie. Back in February, they required a late equaliser to get out of there with a point. So perhaps the tide is starting to turn. We'll find out very soon.
We will indeed. You're up to speed then in terms of preview ahead of Celtic against Aberdeen. We've given you the team news, we've given you the stats. We'll look at the team news from the other games coming up next. This is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp. Summer is over, autumn's here, and spooky season is fast approaching. Whether your Halloween icon is Jason from Friday the 13th or Michael Myers, it's safe to say October is a month for masks. But masks aren't just for Halloween. Some of us feel like we're wearing a mask all of the time. Perhaps it's a smile to cover up the fact that even if you look fine on the outside, you're not actually doing very well. Perhaps your mask is for the benefit of your colleagues at work. Maybe it's for your friends or even your family. But if there's a side of you that you're having to keep hidden, it might be worth trying to understand why that is. Therapy can help you accept all parts of yourself so you can take off the mask and be the real you around the people you love. You don't have to have suffered a particular trauma or been through a major life change. It can simply be that you want to learn positive coping skills, how to set boundaries, or just be a better version of yourself. And if you don't think therapy is for you, why not give it a go anyway? Because you've literally got nothing to lose and you might actually be surprised. With almost 5,000 therapists in the UK already, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise. Visit betterhelp.com/SSB today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/SSB.
Oh, must be the new parent posse chat. We're not even new. Our kids are 8. Or, as Eddie says, 96 months. He moved off grid. Can confirm he's still on grid. And he's got another one on the way. He won't have the coverage to live stream the birth, will he?
Well, here at Tesco Mobile, we've made sure he has 99% network coverage. So he could if he wanted to.
Oh, sign me up.
It pays to be connected. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. Over 99% UK population coverage on 4G.
Looking to get car or van insurance double quick? To mustard.co.uk. With top insurance providers, a 5-minute pit stop with us could get you out in front in the race to savings. Car or van, work or play. Compare insurance with mustard.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
I can sense the excitement in this studio from Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel and Hugh Keevans about Celtic against Aberdeen, that top of the table clash. We gave it a good preview before the break, gave you the team news, some of the main talking points, the stats that obviously make better reading for Celtic than they do Aberdeen. But is this a new Aberdeen? How different can it be today? We will find out in the not too distant future. Let's go around our remaining Premiership games though for team news there, and it's all about a new manager at Tynecastle. Hearts against St Mirren. David Friel.
It certainly is, Gordon. A new era, the sun's shining. There's a lot of, I wouldn't go as far to say there's excitement in there. I think it's been pretty subdued response to Neil Critchley's appointment, but he's here, and I don't think we need a state-of-the-art analytics system to know that 3 points is a must for the new Hearts boss today. I heard Hugh say last night that Neil Critchley is under a lot of pressure before a ball is even be kicked. I've got to agree with him. When Hearts announced they'd be using Tony Bloom, the Brighton owner's analytics system, to help with a manager search, I think a lot of fans get really excited. Many hope for the next Roberto De Zerbi or someone flamboyant. Instead, they've got a guy who was sacked by Blackpool 2 months ago. I think, as I said earlier, it's not been a great reaction to the appointment. That's maybe unfair. Neil Critchley does have a good CV. Spent a lot of time in Liverpool's academy. Stephen Gerrard clearly rated him highly. He took him to Aston Villa as part of his backroom staff. In his first spell at Blackpool, he also did very well. But I do think it feels like a lot of Hearts fans aren't fully convinced, and there's no doubt he needs a strong start. He's not got an easy start. It won't be easy today against St Mirren, a really strong St Mirren side. He's got Ammonia on Thursday in Europe, and then a derby at Easter Road next weekend, so it's a real baptism of fire. And don't forget, the reason he's here is that Hearts are bottom of the league. They've picked up 2 points all season. They've yet to register a league win. Neil Critchley knows he needs to hit the ground running, but as I say, St Mirren, they beat Hearts only 4 weeks ago. That spelled the end for Stephen Naismith. He was sacked after that. Stephen Robinson will want to follow that up with another win. He hasn't had the easiest week either. Sean Rooney left the club for non-football reasons. He's also lost Richard Taylor to injury, but this is a resilient St Mirren team. They always come good when the chips are down, and I think they will understandably believe they can get a result today. So Neil Critchley's in the door. He's only made 2 changes. James Penrice and Benny Benningham come in for Stephen Kingsley and the band George Grant. Looks like a 4-3-3 formation. Craig Gordon in goals after his great performance for Scotland in midweek. Daniel Oyegoke, Frankie Kent, Kai Rolls and James Penrice at the back. It looks like a midfield three of Malachy Boateng, Blair Spittle and Benny Benningham, with Kenny Vargas and Jan Danda either side of Lawrence Shankland. Subs for Hearts are Clark, Kingsley, Halkett, Mackay, Devlin, Forrest, Wilson, Boyce and Forrester. Just the 2 changes for St Mirren as well. Caelan Boyd Munce is out, Roland Adubu also drops out, Scott Tanser and Oisin Smythe in for a 4-4-2 formation. It looks like Ellery Balcom in goals, Marcus Fraser, Alec Gogic, Charles Dunn and Scott Tanser at the back, Greg Kiltie, Killian Phillips, Mark O'Hara, Oisin Smith in midfield, with Kevin Van Veen and Toyosi Olasanya up front. Subs for St Mirren are Minsky, Mandron, Idowu, Scott, Caelan Boyd, Munce, Brown, Adeniran, Mooney and Buomono. The referee at Tynecastle is Colin Stephen and the VAR is David Dickinson.
Here are the thoughts of Neil Critchley for the first time ahead of a game in the Scottish Premiership.
What I've seen has encouraged me from the players, both in terms of their ability but also their attitude and mentality. I haven't walked in and seen a team that's really low in morale, and that might be just through natural change. Sometimes that happens, but the players, whenever there's a change, I've said you've got to be open-minded. People can be resistant to change, but the players have seemed to have responded in a positive fashion. We hope we see some of that on the pitch.
I know the game at Celtic Park is grabbing the headlines, but when you look through this fixture list, there are some absolute crackers everywhere you turn. So obviously the Hearts St Mirren game, new manager, Sean Rooney, all that sort of stuff that goes into the build up to that one. David Friel's in for a treat there. Even Motherwell, Dundee, Fraser Wishart, all the makings of a good one for you today.
Yeah, it certainly does, Gordon. You mentioned at the top of the show about the international break, and we're back, and sometimes those breaks can disrupt a club's momentum, and I don't think Stuart Kettlewell would have wanted that break last week. A wee bit of excitement around Fir Park after a good start to the season. That win against Easter Road against Hibs last time out was a third 2-1 win in a row, and including a cup tie against United, and sees them in 4th place in a home game today, and an ideal chance to keep that run going. For Dundee, on the other hand, just 1 win in the league this season versus Hearts on August the 10th, and on a run of 3 league defeats in a row. Add that to the cup defeat at Ibrox, you might think Tony Docherty would have wanted the break, but I don't think so. I think he would have wanted to play last week and get that awful defeat against Kelly a couple of weeks ago out of their system. From 2-0 up on 86 minutes, they somehow contrived to lose 3 goals in 8 minutes and lose that game. They've had 2 weeks to stew on that and get over the anger and disappointment. Motherwell had a lot of injury problems, like Slattery, Nicholson, Payton. They've been out long term. A real blow in midweek when club captain Paul McGinn was ruled out for a long period with a muscle injury. But they did sign a lot of players. Stuart Kettlewell was backed by his board in the summertime, so their squad should cope. But Dundee could do with a win to kick-start their season after doing so well in 23-24. I know it's still early days, but they don't want that gap between themselves and Motherwell. When you think they'll both be challenging for a top 6 place, that gap could increase to 9 points today if Motherwell were to win this game. The only league game here last season ended 3-3. It was during that period of real excitement for Park, where they scored and lost lots of goals. More of the same would certainly be welcome today. Just that one change for Motherwell from that victory at Easter Road. It's Dan Casey that comes in to replace Paul McGinn, and Stephen O'Donnell captains the team. They go with a 3-4-2-1 formation. Ashton Oxborough in goals, Dan Casey, Liam Gordon and Kofi Bammer at the back. Across the middle, Stephen O'Donnell, Davor Dravkovsky, Andy Halliday and Ewan Wilson, with Lennon Miller and Zach Robinson either side of Apostolos Stamatilopoulos. The subs: Christian Heige, Steve Seddon, Shane Blaney, Marvin Caletta, John Kutrumbis, Moses Ibiye, Tony Watt, Tawanda Mwanise and Jaya Tavares. For Dundee, they make 3 changes. John McCracken in the Scotland squad last week comes back and he is out. He's dropped to the bench. Mo Saylor is suspended and Scott Tiffany also drops to the bench. In come Carson, Astley and Fraser. But a change to 4-4-2 formation for Dundee. Trevor Carson in goals, Ethan Ingram, Clark Robertson, Billy Kumitio and Ziad Lakesh at the back. Across the middle, Ryan Astley, Lyle Cameron, Scott Fraser and Finlay Robertson, with Curtis Main and Simon Fraser as the forwards. John McCracken, Harry Sharp, Scott Tiffany, Josh Mulligan, Olu Adeyume, Sam Braybrook, Seb Palmer Holden, Antonio Portales and Julian Vetro are on the bench. The referee at Fir Park is Ewan Anderson, and on VAR duties it's Andrew Dallas.
Oh, I saw Andy Halliday driving up the hill. I was over visiting Motherwell this morning. He just had game face on when he was driving up. You fancy?
Road?
Yeah, you fancy your hometown team?
Oh yeah, they're in fine form. They were in good fettle last week when I seen them at the golf day.
That the one you left early because you were going out?
Unfortunately, I had to leave the lads. They were hurt, but they were full of confidence. I think Stuart Kettlewell touches on. They're a good feeling round about Motherwell just now, and I think they will kick on this afternoon.
But Fraser, we had Stuart Kettlewell on the show during the break, and he was talking about lessons learned from this time last season. It's not exactly the same, but Motherwell did start last season well. They got to 10 points pretty quickly and then they fell off a cliff and could not get a win for ages. And then, it showed why it was the right decision to stick with Stuart Kettlewell. But I'm sure he would much rather just a more even spread of points this season and not drop off the way they did previously.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're still early on in the season and it's just beginning to take shape, the league, and you always say after the first 11 games then you can see maybe who's going to be challenging top 6, who's going to be near the bottom. But Motherwell, as you say, last year you're thinking what a great start, and I was at a lot of those games, Gordon, and they were just losing goals at home. It was 3, it was 4, they were scoring 2 late goals to grab a point in a 3-3 draw. It was crazy stuff, and at that point he was under real pressure, Stuart Kettlewell. But fair play to the board of Motherwell, they stuck by him. And Stuart, as you know, he can be quite a serious character. He studies everything, he analyses everything, and nothing is left to the side. It's always every single little bit of detail is in his team talks as well. So this is a game where I think it's a tricky one because they've started so well, Motherwell, and you've got Dundee in a wee bit of a poor run. But it's the type of game where this is a way of sign. If they win this game, then I think you can say Motherwell are going to really be challenged for top 6. But if they lose it, then you're thinking, is it just a flash in the pan to start the season? So an exciting game ahead, I have to say. I think there'll be a few goals here.
I think you're always looking at who does something of note in the international break, Fraser, and how they come off the back of it. 2 players that jump out. Lennon Miller goes away. It was a really disappointing result for the under-21s, but he scored a stunning goal out there in Kazakhstan. And on the other hand, any Scottish goalkeeper fancy nailing down a place in this Scotland squad? Because John McCracken finds himself out the Dundee team. So if he can't get back in, he won't be in the next squad Steve Clarke names in a month's time.
I know, Steve Clarke be looking at it thinking, right, who have I got for the squad? You know, Liam Kelly, who was in the Euro squad as well, he's number 2 at Rangers. Bobby McCrory's just got back into the Kilmarnock team as well. But on a positive sense, Lennon Miller's just going from strength to strength, and I think it's a real example. Lots of chat recently about the number of young players, Scottish players coming through and getting a chance. There's very, very few, but the best way for any young player to learn is in the first team, and to have played 50 first team games at his age, and just looks a quality player now. He doesn't look like a young lad as he did sometimes last year. There's certainly going to be teams queuing up for him, and he's maybe just a wee bit unfortunate, even though he's young, that we are so strong in the midfield area in the Scotland squad. But for me, it may be only a matter of time before he's pulling on the blue of Scotland in the first team as well.
Let's go to Tannadice. Dundee United against Hibs under the eye of Roger Hannah.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Gordon. Amazing, newly promoted United. They sit 5th in the table, 7 points and 5 places better off than Hibernian. They're back home here at Tannadice for the first time in over a month. That was when they lost to Rangers here narrowly, 1-0. That's their only defeat here on home soil since back in February. They haven't lost home or away to Hibs since back in 2021, but Jim Goodwin will not be getting ahead of himself because he has got big injury problems. Ryan Strange out long term. We knew Ross Graham would miss out. He limped off in the win a couple of weeks ago at St Mirren, a hamstring injury, but Louis Moult has failed a fitness test, and they're also without both central midfielders. Craig Sibbald was injured in training through the week, and the captain Ross Docherty has also failed a fitness test. You had Christian Trapanovsky only being fit enough for the substitutes bench, and it's a really reshuffled United side today. 4 changes from that 1-0 win at Paisley a couple of weeks ago. Jordan van der Sande also dropping to the bench. In come Kevin Holt, Miller Thompson, Glenn Middleton and David Babinski. So it's Jack Walton in goal, the back three of Emmanuel Adegboyega, Declan Gallagher and Kevin Holt. Across the middle, Lucas Stevenson, Vico Savell, David Babinski and Will Ferrell. Will Ferry even, and then up front it's Miller Thompson, Sam Dalby and Glenn Middleton. On the bench, Richards, Trapanovsky and Odada. Fotheringham, Van der Sande and Sturton, Ubochioma and Domerake. Hibs just 1 win, 2 draws and 5 defeats in their last 8. They arrive here without Nectarios Triantis, suspended of course after that red card in the home defeat to Motherwell a couple of weeks ago. They do have captain Joe Newell back in the team and Martin Boyle back on the bench though. And you were mentioning, the boost Lennon Miller and others getting international duty. Lewis Miller boosted by a World Cup goal for Australia against China while he was away. So 2 changes for David Gray. Newell is in, so too is Rudy Molotnikov. Out go the suspended Triantis and Josh Campbell, who goes to the bench. So it's Joe Bursick in goal. It's the back 4, Lewis Miller, Marvin Ekpiteta, Warren O'Hara and Jordan Obita. Then it's Kwon with Joe Newell in the holding roles. Then Chris Carden, Rudy Molotnikov and Junior Hoylett behind Mikola Kuharevich. On the bench, Smith, Levitt and Yuan, Boyle, Iredale and McCurdy, Campbell, Bushiri and Gale. The referee is Chris Graham. The VAR is Grant Irvin, and I am absolutely sweltered here. The sun is coming through that clear perspex at the back of the main stand at Tannadice. It is a gorgeous day for football.
Just thinking back to your slip of the tongue there, is Will Ferrell just the anchor man in that Dundee United midfield, is he?
Can I just say, the irony of that, Gordon, is a team that's got Adegboyega, Chevelle, Babinski, Trapanovsky, Odada, Van der Sande, Ubochiome and Domaracki, and the name I get wrong is Will Ferry.
Listen, there's some comedic performances in Scottish football most weeks, so I'm sure he'll be in good company. Let's get a preview of St Johnstone Ross County. Dale Eaton's there.
Yes, Gordon, it's set up to be an interesting match here today. As we expected, this could have been new St Johnstone boss Simo Valakari's first game in charge, but he's being made to wait even longer as clearance for his work permit is still not complete, so he'll watch this one from the stands as Andy Kirk and Alex Cleland take the team once again. Speaking to Andy Kirk yesterday, he did stress that while the new boss hasn't been able to get hands-on just yet, his message is getting through to the players, so it will certainly be interesting to see how that translates out onto the pitch. And it's an important game for the Saints, who sit in 11th place, 3 points behind Ross County, who are up in 7th, but more importantly in their home record, as these fans in Perth haven't seen their side win here at home since they beat Hibs 1-0 on the 16th of December last year. That's 12 home games ago. To try and correct that record, they've made 2 changes from their 2-0 defeat to Rangers earlier this month, with Kirk and Essel out for Sidibe and Holt. And it looks like they're going with Ross Sinclair in goals, Andre Raymond, Jack Saunders, Lewis Nielsen and Ray Wright in defence, Jason Holt, Matt Smith and Sven Sprangler in midfield, with Benji Kimpioka, Adama Sidibe and Nicky Clark going forward. On the bench they have Ray, Cameron, Carey, Essel, Kucheriavi, McPeak, Kirk, Keltians and Franzak. As for Ross County, they have had a fondness for drama this season, conceding 4 goals in the league after 85 minutes and scoring 3 themselves. 2 of those came for Don Cowie's side as they fought back from 3-1 down to snatch a draw at the death from today's opponents when they met in Dingwall in September. The Staggies are on a solid run with 1 win, 2 draws and 2 defeats in their last 5, with both of those defeats coming late against the top 2 in Celtic and Aberdeen. They'll be looking to put some more daylight between themselves and the relegation playoff where they finished in both of the past 2 seasons. They've made 2 changes from their defeat to Celtic last time out, with Noah Shilvers and Aidan Denham dropping out for Scott Allardyce and Eamon Brophy. They line up with Ross Laidlaw in goals, a back 3 of Ryan Leake, Akil Wright and Casper Lapata. Eli Campbell, Scott Allardyce, Connor Randall, Josh Nisbet and Mishi Ifete are in midfield, with Ronan Hale and Eamon Brophy up front. On the bench it's Hamilton, Brown, Shilvers, Greaves, Denham, Telfer, Samuel, White and Reid. John Beaton is the referee and Stephen Kirkland is on VAR.
Fraser Wishart, you feel like the right man to bring in on red tape that stops managers getting involved in the games, the 18-19 days after they were named. That's a frustration for St Johnstone, isn't it?
Yeah, the wonders of Brexit, It was a great thing, Brexit, and it means that people from Europe now in Finland have been seeing Valakari. An old teammate of mine played with him here at Fir Park many moons ago. Good lad, good player. It means that he's now got to get a work permit, which he didn't have to a few years ago. And once you get the SFA, they've got a governing body endorsement, it's called. There's a panel that sit to say yes, you can get it as a player or a manager. You then have to go through the Home Office, so you're waiting for the Home Office to process the applications, which is much to the frustration of clubs. And quite often you'll see a player sign a contract during the transfer window. We'll see it in January, but the work permit or the GB has been granted in December, but they can't get it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's a tough time, but they'll get it, and I wish Simo every success. He's got a tough job in his hands.
Looking forward to that one as well today. So that is your picture complete for the Scottish Premiership. We've given you team news from all around the grounds. Of course, there are big games in the Championship and beyond that we'll take a look at as the afternoon progresses. But back to Celtic Park next, and we're going to hear from the managers ahead of the big one.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
15 minutes to kick off in the 3 o'clock games across the country. Hugh Keevans, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel are in the studio. The top team are round the grounds, including, of course, Celtic Park. Let's hear from the managers then, starting with Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, we're really excited by the game. Obviously a great game to come back to and get ourselves back into it very quickly. And obviously first v second, it's always a great game, especially this early on in the season. So I've been really impressed with Jimmy's team. They look to have real clarity in how they play, both with the ball and against the ball. You know, you win 7 straight games in your league, then you've done really, really well. So yeah, I've been really impressed watching them, and we look forward to the challenge now.
And of course, the visiting boss for the first time, Jimmy Tilleen, and his army of Aberdeen fans coming down in confident mood.
The results have speak for themselves during the years, but still for us is the most important thing that we can do, and I think the best chance for us to improve and hopefully get a good result is to be as true to ourselves and the identity we try to create, and the things we start building here. It's still a long-term process, and we try to be better every week. From the last games we try to learn and what we need to improve, but also strengthen what we are really good at already. So as usual, game by game, stay humble, respect the opponent, their strengths and weakness, and try to perform as we can do as an Aberdeen.
Big day for both of them, Hugh.
I think even Brendan Rodgers will be intrigued and excited by the prospect of this match. I don't think there'll be any international hangover where players take a while to get back up to speed. I think the Celtic players will be extra motivated. The 60,000 fans there, a good away support. Unlike an Old Firm game, there'll be away fans there. And the Aberdeen players know this is statement day. If they go to Celtic Park, then if they get a win, Jimmy Tilleen becomes the biggest thing out of Sweden since ABBA. That's the name of the game today. That's the name of the game.
Lovely.
I love it.
He's
Finished
been
it
working on that
brilliantly.
all weekend.
I said to him in the
All week.
office, what magic are you going to bring? I didn't use the word magic, but he certainly produced.
And listen, on the subject, this is a man who pays people to come and build these flat pack IKEA furniture. So
Yeah.
he's all across the
Yeah.
culture.
That's the name of the game.
David Friel, without going off on a tangent for too long, because I don't think we've got the chance as we build up to kick-off, did any of Brendan Rodgers' redemption arc, if you want to call it that, coming back to the club, was any of that ruined with the way he worded the pyrotechnics lecture yesterday? I've seen a bit of a split among Celtic fans on social media.
Yeah, I think if you use a social media barometer, as a barometer, then yes, Gordon. See, once I say I was there, I don't think you can really argue with what Brendan Rodgers said. As you say, there's not a lot of time to go into yes or no in terms of pyrotechnics. It's pretty simple. UEFA have told Celtic they're on their final warning. I don't understand why any Celtic fan out there would want to jeopardise the chance to go to a game like, for example, Villa Park, just because they want to light a firework. I just think they should can it in. Now, Brendan's asked them, the club have asked them, and I think it's the right thing to do. The reaction yesterday wasn't great from a lot of fans, but I don't really think you can argue with anything he said.
I think the sentiment of please don't do this, Hugh, is inarguable. How could you argue with that? But clearly there are a lot, I don't know how many, of Celtic fans who did not like the whole if you do this you don't care about the club stuff.
Well, it was meant to shock, and it has shocked the supporters, but I am 100% behind Brendan Rodgers on this matter, and 100% behind Rangers interim chairman John Gilligan on that particular matter. Celtic have a magnificent game today inside a magnificent stadium. They don't need the whole thing spoiled by people who have a total disregard for authority asserting their alleged power on the matter. If it doesn't stop, Celtic should close that area.
Mark Wilson, like we said, it's important maybe to not get too stuck in social media. I don't know how much of a representation it is. All I know is that I've seen an awful lot of I'll be taking no lectures on loving the club from a guy that left midway through the season.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that on X, as it's now known.
Yeah, it's a small minority, and quite often they have the loudest voices because they're the ones that take to social media. They want to be heard, they want to be seen to be different by holding up flares or launching fireworks like we witnessed at Hampden one game when we were there. It is ridiculous. We had this discussion over a year ago. I made my feelings clear on it. I thought it was dangerous at the time. Here we are, a year and a bit down the line, and it's still going on, and it's taking the Celtic manager to come out as a final stand, like Hugh said there, to try and shock his own fans and to not bring them. So something has to sit with him one time or another. Let's hope it's now.
Anyway, back to the football. Mark, does today in any way become about midweek? We often do this because we don't need to separate them. You look at the last time, you're looking at, can players play well and build up confidence and momentum and all that stuff, and then it doesn't really count for anything because the level of opponent in Europe is so high. I suppose the more obvious thing would be, can everyone come through it fit so you don't lose anyone today ahead of midweek? Does it play a part in your thinking?
I think in terms of challenges, you have to separate the two and you have to concentrate on both individually. But you make a good point that in terms of fitness, of course, if Celtic had to get the job done early, then of course it comes into Brendan Rodgers thinking his preparations for Wednesday night. But he'll know how important this game is, so you can't afford to take any chances. And I'm sure he'll be saying to his players just about now, his last words before they take to the tunnel, that don't take your foot off the gas. Don't even think about casting an eye towards Wednesday night, because this is one of the most important games of the season so far. And if Aberdeen are going to be challengers, then they're going to prove that today. So Celtic are going to have to be at their best, a lot better than they were at Dingwall. He'll be telling his players that, and he'll hope for the right outcome.
Yeah, I think all concentration, like Mark says, will be firmly on today's game, because they'll know that they're in for a game. An in-form Aberdeen team has arrived at Celtic Park. They're getting all the pats in the back. It's up to Celtic to go out there, stamp their authority in front of a huge crowd, and obviously the majority is their supporters. Listen, Wednesday night will take care of itself. It's all about 3 points and separating them between Celtic and Aberdeen and Rangers.
I think it's great for the prestige of our game that we are all so excited about this particular match. Aberdeen have been a spent force for a long time. 10 years since they won a trophy. Spent force. And then, after a succession of failed managers, along comes Jimmy Tillane. And he has built the basis of an argument. That's all he's done. The basis of an argument to suggest that Aberdeen might mean something this season. If he gets a draw or a win at Celtic Park, then he has taken that argument forward and then some.
Roger Hannah, much of this debate is been about how will Aberdeen approach this. Do they play the way they usually do? Do they tweak that because it's Celtic? The kind of questions we ask of Celtic when they go into Europe, I guess. And then that's before you get to the notion that sometimes what you do is dictated to by the way the opposition play anyway.
Yeah, very much so. What did Mike Tyson say? Hugh would be able to confirm this. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So I'd imagine Jimmy Tillane would have a plan to do with Aberdeen what he's done with Aberdeen in all 13 wins so far. Get on the ball, play forward, use the pace of Keskin and use the guile of Clarkson and McGrath. But if you're only going to get 30% possession, which you might be lucky to get at Celtic Park today, then all those plans can go out the window. You can be forced deeper and deeper back towards Dimitar Mitov's goal, and all those good intentions can go out the window very quickly. So I am sure in this away dressing room at Celtic Park as we speak, Jimmy Tillane will be telling them, go out, do what you've done, don't be fazed by the occasion, don't worry that you're 60,000 Celtic fans, go and do all the good stuff that you've done so far this season. It's not as easy as that, Gordon.
I think what people really mean, Fraser, is do you press high or do you sit back? I think that's really what it comes down to. I think you can distill it into that when people have these discussions. How will Aberdeen approach this one?
I think Jimmy Tillane will approach it the way he's done in the rest of his games. You know, just listening to him, just seeing his approach, he's quite calm, he's quite collected. I know Dave Galloway's telling us that he gets a bit frustrated because he doesn't give people a line, but he seems to be quite pragmatic, and I think he'll play the same way as he has approached it. But the problem being, as Roger said, you know, you can have all the plans in the world, but then Celtic just have the ball and dominate and knock it around. We've seen that happen the other way to Celtic in Europe, and that's going to be the problem for Aberdeen, because they pretty much played on the front foot all season. But for long periods of this game, they're going to have to get themselves organised. And I think you'll see Keskinen and McGrath drop back to make it almost a 5 in midfield as well and try and hit on the break. So it's about adapting to what's happening at a certain point in the game, and the players need to be part of that as well. You know, if you're under the cosh, sometimes you need to drop off. We saw Scotland do it against Portugal for the last 25 minutes, but before that they pressed when they had that opportunity. So it's about being clever by the players. But in the end, can you stop Celtic scoring? And that's going to be the biggest problem. I think Celtic are going to be totally up for this game. They're going to treat this like it's a European tie, like it's an Old Firm game. They'll want to show and say to Aberdeen, alright, so you've won 7 games in a row, you're still not as good as us.
What do you think, Mark? Is it a case of it's hard to avoid the similarities between Celtic when Celtic get into European competition? Is it the same? Might Aberdeen as well be just going and try and do what they've done already and try and perfect that on the day?
Well, you know, I can't be a hypocrite, because when Brendan Rodgers did it at Borussia Dortmund, and even after it, I had the discussion with Daz, and I said I would have done exactly the same after a perfect start to the season and everything's on the up and the players are feeling good about themselves. Why change something? So I think Jimmy Tillane should look at the form his players are in, look at the belief they've got, and you run the risk. Football is risk and reward though. You could equally rip everything up and play that low defensive block, hold it in front of your box, and Celtic score in the first 10 minutes and your plan's ripped up anyway, and you'd kick yourself at night for not having a goal. So I think Jimmy Tillane, I'm with Fraser, I think he will approach it the way he has done the other games.
We know the optimism will be high, Gabriel. The numbers will take it high. Strong Aberdeen contingent coming down.
Yes, Gordon, Aberdeen packing out their little section just to the right of me, waving a big red flag in the corner. Celtic, though, packing out their stadium as ever. The sun is shining here on the east end of Glasgow. What a game we have in store. Neither side at their best before the international break. Celtic squeezing past County and Dingwall, whilst Aberdeen had one of their worst displays of the season against Hearts, but they still came out on top. Quick run through of the teams. Again, just one change for Celtic since that game. Kyogo comes in for Adam Eder, whilst Carter Vickers and Taylor remain sidelined. Schmeichel in goal. A defence of Johnston, Trusty, Scales and Baye. McGregor, Hatate and Engels are in midfield, with Kuhn, Maida and Kyogo up top. It's an unchanged side for Jimmy Tillin, the Swede sticking with the 11 from 2 weeks ago. Mitov in goal, Devlin, Malloy, Rubezic and McKenzie at the back, Shinnie, Nilsson and Clarkson in the middle, Keskinen, Nisbet and McGrath up top. So very attacking. Doesn't mean Aberdeen will set up on the front foot as they have for most of this season, or will we see what Tellin's Elfsborg did when they beat Malmo, the best team in Sweden? They beat them 3-1 with just 20% possession. Will that be the plan, Gordon? We know what Celtic will do. They'll come out of the traps flying, looking to lay down a marker and show who the champions are. Well, Jimmy Tillin said it was way too early for title talk, whilst Rodgers says he's unsure if Aberdeen can mount a challenge as well. He says they do expect. And it's been a long time, 40 years to be exact. Hugh will remember, since Sir Alex Ferguson's Dons won the title. The last time a team outside of Glasgow were champions. Now that's a very long way away, but how the supporters in red just to my right would love to dream, and a win here today would do all of that. Celtic Park packed out in green and white. They are looking to show that they're not letting go of this trophy. Kick-off just moments away.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevans, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel are here. We're ready. We're all set. What is your ACCA looking like? And let's do it with a bit of drama. Give us the ACCA and then give us the scoreline specifically from Celtic Park.
Celtic to win by 3-1. Motherwell Dundee, a draw. Hearts versus St Mirren, Neil Critchley, I think, starts with a win. Dundee United Hibs, a draw. And Ross County win away at Perth.
I'm not too far away, Hugh. Celtic to win.
What was your score?
3-0 Celtic. Job done easy. Draw Motherwell Dundee. Hearts to beat St Mirren. I'm going to go for Dundee United to beat Hibs, even though they've got injury problems. And I'll go for a Ross County away win.
Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. I'm going Motherwell to beat Dundee. I'm going Hearts to beat St Mirren. Dundee United and Hibs a draw. And St Johnstone Ross County abandoned after 20 minutes for non-football reasons. I'll go St Johnstone home win.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Planning your holiday? Get essential health advice and medication before you travel.
Well, there we go. We're up and running. It felt like a long international break. That one, decent ovation for Neil Critchley as he comes out for the first time, getting underway. Celtic Aberdeen as well. Everyone's looking, Hugh, to see if Celtic can make that quick start, you know, almost treat it like this European type night with a big expectation and all the rest of it, because it is such a crucial game judging by the league table.
I think the crowd will demand that kind of start, and I think Brendan Rodgers will demand that start. I think the players will be invigorated by this. If you come back and you, let's say, for example, I mean no disrespect, Celtic versus St Johnstone, nobody's that bothered, but this is different. This is entirely different. And Celtic will want to assert themselves right away, and Jimmy Tillin will not want to go down early, because it has to have a negative effect on the players.
Yeah, big one for them. I was trying to think about comparisons, and you know, in terms of league season being a bit different from Celtic and Rangers. And I think back to Hearts. Remember 2005, they went the cup games, I think, unbeaten. Then they went into the league. I think they went 7 wins in a row. Then they faced Rangers. That was their biggest challenge in the 8th game. They beat them 1-0. Then faced Celtic at Celtic Park a couple of weeks later and got out of there with a draw. And they sustained that. Okay, they fell away. Celtic obviously ended up winning the league, but they split Celtic and Rangers in that season. And you just think Aberdeen, they might get beaten here, and I've heard loads of people saying it, but it's the manner how they go about this, and if they get away with a narrow defeat, or even better, can they get a point?
Well, I mean, Aberdeen did of course split Celtic and Rangers. They were the last team to do so, the 16-17 season. But they were 30 points behind Celtic. It never started like this, certainly, with the winning run.
Hearts in the 2005 season, though, went all the way to probably the New Year game, remember, and they were beating Celtic. Celtic had to make a couple of substitutions. The game, Stephen Pearson, that came on, that changed the kind of flow from there. So, it was a sustained kind of neck and neck all the way through. I don't know if Aberdeen's got it in them. That's why this 90 minutes will be so interesting.
I think the good thing about Aberdeen is that they're not conditioned to fail at Celtic Park, because the manager's never been there. Several players in their team today have never been there. They're not burdened by the past. All the stats about 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. I can go back 14 years. Mark McGee's time, it was 9-0 for Celtic at Celtic Park. But they're not wired like that. They don't know about that. And that makes them a different proposition.
I think Aberdeen did it back-to-back seasons, actually, didn't they? In the early period that were, at 16-17, did they do it 2 seasons in a row around that time?
Finished second. I'm not quite sure, but Rangers was that the period Rangers were just off it a bit. Of course, it's so slightly different now. Rangers are a team that's obviously behind Celtic, but you would still put them down as favourites to beat Aberdeen. There's still a strong enough squad to challenge Celtic. That's why this league season looks interesting at the minute, but we're building it up. It's only the 8th game into the season, so after this or in the next few weeks we could be saying, remember a couple of weeks ago we were building this up to be something it's not.
I think you're right. Today won't define their season, but the next 4 games might, because they're so important. Dundee United, Rangers, Aberdeen, Celtic semi-final. All of a sudden they are 4 massive games, 4 big tests for them. So I'll be interested to see how they do.
Yeah, it's been a fairly bright start, as you would expect. No real goal scoring chances. Celtic have advanced forward a couple of times. Aberdeen looking lively. Nothing major to tell you about. You two practising. Remember, we introduced you the last Saturday we were in here together. We introduced you to this notion that you two should go on your Christmas night out in a couple of weeks. We'll pick the date, and then just based on whatever Scottish team scores first, that's where you need to go. It's become like a bit of a thing, like people do and on social media and whatnot. You want another rehearsal just so
I'm hoping on the dates Motherwell work, and then I can just walk home and let him get a taxi.
There's the sense of adventure in that.
Quite happy. I know a few boozers in Motherwell.
So you're looking for that first goal going in, just imagining it, and then we'll do it for real. Couple of GoPros with you. Just let the night.
We want somewhere. I want somewhere like we were chatting about them the other day, Campbelltown. You were saying in the 3rd tier of the west of Scotland.
Unfortunately, I don't think their goals are going to pop up on the video printer, but we'll keep an eye. Alex Valle, of course, is into the team in place of the injured Greg Taylor. He's had a bit of tussling to do early on, and it'll be a good test for him, Gordon, because Keskinen's been excellent. He's been a big money signing by Aberdeen standards.
Yeah, and I think Aberdeen will try and maybe target down that right hand side. But I like the look of this lad. I really do. I think he'll take. I think he'll take time to settle in. He's got a big job in his hand replacing Greg Taylor, who's been excellent. But I think he's got a lot of good qualities there that will probably, I think that could push Greg Taylor on as well, because he knows there's a challenge there now.
Well, I know that everyone says he comes from Barcelona, therefore
he must be
be outstanding, but he's got a bit to show yet for me. And for me, if Greg Taylor was fit, he'd be playing today and not Alex Valle.
He's obviously shown the technical ability, the mark. You look at the back heel for the goal at St Johnstone.
Technically looks very gifted, very comfortable on the ball. It's all the other bits and pieces that defending, but fitting into a system. I thought the game he played against Falkirk, he just looked unsure of how Brendan Rodgers and the whole system worked. That takes time, and okay, you can study it and you can study Greg Taylor playing, but you've got to be a part of it to really feel your way into it. And I think he's getting better and better, but no doubt on the ball looks very good.
Hugh, let's do it.
The first half teaser
with the ScottishSun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Simple as you like. Can you tell me the last 6 Scottish players to win the Footballer of the Year award? That's in season 2013-2014. Tell me the last 6 Scottish players to win the Scottish Player of the Year award.
PFA award, Fraser Wishart's
Yes, of
award,
course.
as it's called.
Is there any other?
At Clyde SSB, it is a race. Give us one tweet, all 6 names on it, get them right, do it quicker than everyone else, and you win the first half teaser. It is that simple. The Dons fans making a bit of a racket at Celtic Park, Gordon. They think this all feels very different,
and rightly so, because they've seen their club change manager quite often the last few years. They've not really, lived up to their expectations. This new guy's come in, turned things about, got off to a great start, playing some attractive football, lost probably one of the best goal scorers in Scotland, Majowski, and they don't look any weaker without him. So all of a sudden Aberdeen believe, and you look at obviously when Aberdeen go on the road now, the amount of support that follows them. So they've got the belief. They'll be down in Glasgow today believing. I was there in the old days when Fergie brought Aberdeen to Glasgow and took on the might of Rangers and Celtic and conquered it. So they'll believe that there's good times round the corner for them.
I don't know how you feel about this, but you're going for your night out
Where?
to Livingston. Ayr United 0, Livingston 1.
Livingston.
Robbie
Is there anything even in there?
Aye,
Apart from the
retail.
shopping centre?
Retail.
Roundabouts.
I know a couple of nice wee places.
The Weatherspoon's in the shopping centre.
Yeah, don't you worry
There you
about
go,
that.
that's your second rehearsal. We'll do it for real in a couple of weeks now that you know how the very simple
They
concept
don't actually
works.
score many, do they? Livy, a couple of 0-0 draws.
They don't concede many,
Don't
that's for
concede
sure.
many either, yeah.
Been good this season.
Davy
Solid.
Martin will take you around the place.
We'll certainly not be going to Ayr, let me tell you that. I'll bump into a few people I don't want to
So
bump
anyway,
into.
that's the first goal in Scotland. Ayr 0, Livy 1. Robbie Muirhead it was with the goal there. Mark, there's not been a great deal of goal scoring chances, but one thing that is clear in the early stages is this whole question of giving it a go or not. And I said it early, as if that's the only two options. But Aberdeen are, really trying to get in about Celtic, so to speak, get in their faces, press them high, make life uncomfortable for them.
They certainly are, and I didn't expect anything less. But then the flip side of that is when you do win the ball back from pressing, how do you handle it? How do you keep it? Are you composed? And by all accounts, they have been very composed. They're building play nicely. They're looking to get in behind as well, because they've got real pace. So, it came with the right idea. Jimmy Thielen doesn't sound like he's changed anything. So a decent start from an Aberdeen point of view. For Celtic, probably.
It's all cliche, Mark. The first goal's got to be so important. Aberdeen are there with their supporters and belief.
Did you not spend years on this show saying it's okay to lose the first goal as long as you lose it early?
Yeah, but
and
still
now
going.
you've changed your tune.
No, because we're now into 8-9 minutes. That's not early.
Right, okay.
Right, so I just think that,
how silly of me,
especially away from home, you go down to Celtic Park and there's a belief that you can get something. All of a sudden, if they come out the traps and they score, you're on the back foot a little bit. So I think if Aberdeen could get the first goal, what a difference it would make.
Arbroath 1, Dumbarton 0. Thomas O'Brien on 11 minutes there. So a couple of goals starting to go in down the divisions. Nothing major to tell you about yet, and not a single goal in the top flight early on. Teams just feeling their way into the games after the international break. Hearts dominating, but nothing clear cut. Slowish start at Fir Park. Stamatolopoulos with the header wide is the closest we've come to a goal there between Motherwell and Dundee.
I had to laugh when you said that the Hearts fans had given Neil Critchley an ovation. And I thought, yeah. An ovation before a ball is kicked, and then it will be commotion if St Mirren score.
He's not been welcomed with open arms, has he? But
it's a bit unfair.
Celtic at the bar. Arnie Engels, the £11 million man, as you have to call him, I think now. It's like you're obliged. I think Mitov probably made the save, and it was from near the corner flag, one of those on the angle, hits the crossbar in the end. Celtic coming close. Yeah,
he's certainly got the technical ability to do that. We've seen him now for a good few weeks. What his attributes are, he's certainly got that in his locker with his shooting techniques. So yeah, that'll be decent. A bright light for the Celtic fans, something to cling on to. But I was going to say about Neil Critchley there, I do find it a bit amazing. I know football fans want this big name. Every single club want a big name, but who's to know that this guy doesn't come in and...
No, but here's the irony. I don't think the Hearts fans wanted a big name because they were trusting this process and the analytics, and
you think they look for a foreign.
Yeah, it was almost like if it had produced a
French name
that they hadn't heard of.
Yeah.
They would have trusted it more than it producing a name that had been sacked by Blackpool. I think that I think that was sort of the problem.
I think you're also entitled as a fan to say, sacked by Blackpool and sacked by QPR before that.
Yeah, but again, you can't have it both ways. You can't start and say, well, do you know what, Tony Bloom, look at Brighton, they're the ones to go, let's just see how it works out, we trust the process. Well, I'm not trusting that process, I don't trust that guy. You just can't do both.
That's the point I was going to make. You either trust the analytics or you don't.
Exactly.
The analytics has brought up Neil Critchley for a reason.
But also, Mark, you've got to take into consideration he's got to go and interview well. You know what I mean? So he's obviously.
By the way, he might flop. That's not what this is about.
But you've got to give him opportunity, Gordon. You can't just go.
And let's be honest, it's naive to think it's going to be like an exact copy of Brighton. But Brighton fans could have went, oh, hold on a minute, a 31-year-old manager. I don't think so. But
Neil Critchley's got 8 days to save his job.
I like that, cute. Go early, son.
He's got fan mania this Saturday, Omonia on Wednesday, and pandemonium next Saturday if he loses at Easter Road.
Engels again, it's from the edge of the box, it goes wide, it's cut back by Alex Valle. So Celtic and Arnie Engels in particular trying to find their shooting boots.
Yeah. It sounds like Celtic are starting to slowly turn the screw.
Aberdeen will be expecting that, Hugh. I think it was Gab said, look, Celtic will probably come out with a fast start. I think everybody thought that. So it's just making sure you don't give them that encouragement. Yeah, you've got to know that you're going to come under a lot of pressure at Celtic Park. It's how you handle that pressure.
Just an interesting incident a couple of moments ago, Mark, because man of the moment Nicky Devlin just showing exactly what he's got in his locker, where Dyson Maeda knocked it past him and tried to run him, and Nicky Devlin got there. And there are not many times that is the outcome.
Yeah,
Dyson
he's
Maeda
been good this season. But again, I think that comes from the good feeling around the club as well. You just feel like you've got that extra spring in your step. He's been excellent though. His attributes are good. You've got to love his psychology, his career path, where he's went, where he's got to.
Released by Stenhousemuir.
That's crazy. And look where he is now. So I love stories like that, and it just goes to show he's a quality player. Keeping up with my age.
Do you think that'll happen to you in the future?
Well, I'll come back through injury.
He'll get a Scotland call up at the age of 41.
Sacked from Brecon, now manager of
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Well, time will tell.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And the Neil Critchley era is up and running. Hearts 1, St Mirren 0, and what a goal it is from Kenneth Vargas. Spittle, Baningime, Shankland all involved. A stunning pass from Lawrence Shankland, so often the finisher, this time the creator, and Kenneth Vargas makes it Hearts 1, St Mirren 0.
He heard me say 8 days to save his job, and along comes the first goal. But that's a terrific start for him. That encourages the fans no end. And St Mirren at the moment going through difficult period, shortage of players because of injury and also because of the Sean Rooney situation. Difficult time for Stephen Robinson.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better start as a manager. You've looked for a response. You know, it's incredible. A new manager comes in, stands in that dugout, and all of a sudden there's an extra yard to it.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hard to call it the Simo Valakari era. It kind of is, but it's up and running anyway, because St Johnstone have taken the lead at home to Ross County. Benjamin Kimpioka with it. The Ross County players are appealing for a foul, but as far as we know currently, it's 1-0 to St Johnstone. We know that VAR can play its part, but the Saints take the lead for now.
He's been a miss, Kimpioka, and with his suspensions that certainly hurt St Johnstone, but well done to them. I think with those two up front, they've always got a chance.
Is Valakari allowed to take training, although he's not got international clearance to be the manager?
I'm sure he could be standing and you've been organising. Of course you would, Jess.
Well, it's working then.
I'm sure he'll probably be hands on. Probably Fraser will let us know better than that. But
I mean, I wouldn't have thought so, to be honest. I don't think that makes sense.
I know, but I'm sure he's not.
Because you're either doing your job or you're not. The job is not being in the dugout on a Saturday. You know, the job is being the manager of the team.
I would say, without grassing him in, he's probably
he's got a moustache and a wig and a
he
hat
comes
on.
in with a beard and everything. That's dressed different. Up. But
let's
I
not get
think
some
your
sort
big
of political
influence-
incident on our hands if we can. Let's move on. Engels now with a good ball across, but no one there to provide the finish. So nothing clear cut really, but Celtic definitely with the better openings, we'll call it, rather than chances so far. Arbroath 1, Dumbarton 1. Carlo Pignatello with the goal there. There is a VAR check on that goal for St Johnstone, so we'll keep an eye out to see what happens there.
Well, it does sound though as if the crowd are being entertained at Celtic Park. They came in their numbers, Aberdeen and Celtic fans, in high anticipation of something that would be thrilling for them to watch, and it would appear that's what they're getting.
And you'd expect nothing less with the way both teams have been playing domestically.
Yeah.
You know, Aberdeen have been entertaining to watch, score plenty of goals, play, you know, on the front foot all the time, wanting to get in behind, and Celtic are very similar. Well, Celtic are the masters of it, of course. They've been excellent to watch this season, so it's a good one to be at Celtic Park this afternoon. All we're missing is a goal.
Goal stands for St Johnstone.
Well, that's good for them.
By the way, my sincere apologies, I should have told you this earlier on, of course, but just in case you're wondering, there was an injury to one of the match officials. Mark, if you had been at Firhill, you could have got the call up.
Oh, really? I like that.
Kick-off delayed until 3:30 between Partick Thistle and
Oh,
Airdrie.
that's a nightmare.
Surely there's a ref in the crowd.
It gives Brian Graham an extra half hour of recovery time after
the big
his
tannoy
appearance.
announcement's got to come on. Is there a ref?
She's a
qualified
player,
referee in the crowd.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than that.
No, of course.
You're now thinking 3:30. I'm not getting out to Vacky 6 now. That's what I thought in my
Some
day.
people actually take their craft seriously, though. That's the difference.
Hugh would be thinking that.
But anyway, it's a huge day for the Jags when it does get up and running.
Yeah. Need a result today. Airdrie not going so well this season, and that's a mystery in itself. So you look at that one and
What's happened to Airdrie? Knocked out that cup with East Kilbride as well.
Yep.
Sitting bottom of the league. A young manager that every job was coming up, he was getting touted about. All of a sudden it's just went pear-shaped for him.
Callum McGregor over the bar, driving forward. Celtic starting to build up a bit of steam here, Hugh.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. We don't hear very much about Kasper Schmeichel at the other end of the park, so that's what you'd expect. We can't go on and on about Brendan Rodgers being fired up for it, the players, the crowd being fired up for it, and then it's a damp squib. They are against pyrotechnics and against damp squibs.
That was a great call from Celtic, you know, knocking back the TV money.
Yeah,
for a 3 PM kick-off on a Saturday. I think that gives it a wee bit extra as well.
Well, I was making the point to Gordon last night on the programme that when you have a support who, before the Champions League begins, buy a package for 4 games which brings in Celtic £11 million, they're not just supporters, they are your business partners now, because they bring in so much money and they have to be taken into account. And it would have been a betrayal of the fans of Celtic and Aberdeen had Celtic allowed the kick-off to be changed.
Rubizic is down with a head knock for Aberdeen. He took a Rio Hatate shot right in the head, and it's causing him one or two difficulties. I wonder if that's going to be an emotional afternoon, Hugh. There's a goal gone in. Inverness Cally Thistle 1 and an Athletic 0. Danny Devine with the goal. The club entering administration. Clearly a very uncertain future.
Yes, I know that Fraser spoke to the Inverness Cally squad and tried to explain to them the ramifications of going into administration, which will take place next week. Very, very troubled times. You can't fault Duncan Ferguson, the manager. He has agreed to work for nothing. Is actually putting his own money into certain expenses that the players might have. But they have not been backed by the people of the Highlands, because they set up that GoFund for £200,000 and they didn't even get to 50% of that total. So whatever's wrong, the emotional rapport that you need is not there at Cally Thistle.
Yes, it's a sad time, isn't it? You go back to all those years ago when they were so famous about, you know, that great victory at Celtic Park that night, and you look at the state they're in just now, and yes,
they've won Scottish Cups and finished high up the table, and
it's not just players, staff, everybody involved has probably got to lose their jobs.
Points deduction.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee United 1, Hibs 0. It's a tap-in from young Miller Thompson, and the home side take the lead. It's a great run and cutback from Glenn Middleton. He's not had an easy start to the season, but he's in the team today. He's set up the goal, and Miller Thompson has tapped it in.
Hibs 1-6, third bottom of the league. Not a happy time for David Gray since becoming manager. Well done to United, but troubled times in the capital city for Hearts and Hibs, although Hearts were
I
up.
would throw your 8 days in there.
A goal in the big one at Celtic Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Celtic 1, Aberdeen 0, and it is Reo Hatate on the break. We said the Hoops had been motoring, they had been building up a bit of momentum. It was pulled back by Kyogo, a left-footed finish, lovely goal, and it's Celtic 1, Aberdeen 0.
Well, Aberdeen negotiated the first 20 minutes, which is supposed to be the time that then allows you to settle down, and no sooner have they negotiated the 20 minutes than Hatate strikes. And
VAR check on the Dundee United goal first,
right.
Sorry.
But Celtic Park, I can imagine now, is on fire.
Yeah, you'd expect so. Rio Hatate just having that short moments of goal blocked by Rubizic. She's such a dangerous player in and around the box. And I wonder how he feels just now, because he's really got a battle with Bernardo for that place. So he takes this game, he's been chosen to start. He's probably thinking, I need to really cement my place back in this side as one of the main starters, and no better way of doing that than a goal.
Yeah, terrific. Just listening to what's coming in from Celtic Park, they thoroughly deserve it. Gordon have been on the front foot. Aberdeen knew that was going to happen, and if they're at their best, it's very difficult. As much as you can say where they got to press, they got to be a low block, and they got to press from the front. But when Celtic play and they play with such quickness, it's very difficult, especially at Celtic Park domestically.
Yeah, interesting as Mark said, though. Reo Hatate's position all of a sudden is not maybe secure in the Celtic midfield.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing for a manager, because what he's saying is there's no certain starters here. You've got to make sure you earn that strip, and when you've got the opportunity, you've got to take it. And obviously Hatate's a wonderful player, let's be honest, he's a wonderful player, but there's great competitions in that Midley Park now.
Dundee United goal given, can't wait to see it, because it's now Sam Dalby who's been credited with it, not Miller Thompson, but some people are saying it's an own goal. How can 3 people touch it at the one time?
Stramash
anyway,
at the back post.
It's a goal. It's a great goal from Celtic, Mark, to open the scoring.
Well, they go from one side to the other so quickly. The Celtic side was so up when they played Rangers and Aberdeen. We talked about how they would approach a game. Aberdeen promote bodies forward, and it's an attack into the Celtic box, and in 3 passes the ball's in the back of the Aberdeen net, and it's a terrific finish from Hatate.
Fraser Wishart, Gordon Dalziel tells us that there's not much happening at Fir Park, quite a slow tempo. However, he's been humbled. He's finally found someone after all these years at Fir Park that can throw it further than him. It's the first member, Kofi Balmer. Remember the Hibs goal?
Yeah.
Where he crossed it to the back post with a throw in for Andy Halliday. Well, obviously this is the first time Fraser's seen him up close and personal, and he's been knocked off his perch as the king of Fir Park throw-ins.
That's everything been taken away from Fraser now. He's nothing to hold on to.
All he's got now is he's in charge of PFA Scotland.
Another episode of the Penguin.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. It's now Kyogo. He set up the first, he scored the second. There's a phrase about Glasgow buses or something that Hugh Keevans can fill us in on later, but it drops to Kyogo in the box, Hugh, and he makes it 2.
You wait all that time and then 2 come along at once. That's the old saying about the buses. And now is a huge test of Jimmy Tilleen, his philosophy on the game, the mentality possessed by his players, because now the roof threatens to fall in on him, and he has to be careful. You lose a third goal before half time and you really are up that well-known creek.
So yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it? It's really disappointing if you're an Aberdeen fan or involved, because you've been down there with great hope. Everybody was looking forward to this. Celtic have come out of the traps, do what they do best, and you're right, Hugh, this could be a real sore one if Aberdeen don't watch what's going to happen.
Yeah, it was Hatate involved again. Actually, his shot is blocked, it then falls to Kyogo. He makes no mistake, finds the back of the net, and Celtic very much comfortable already, Mark.
But they're so good at going forward. I mean, you look at them this season, how they're playing the game, they move the ball really quickly. And it was facts the other night, what we were saying. Aberdeen haven't come up against Celtic or Rangers yet. And that was the test. It wasn't being disrespectful to them. But when you play against a team like Celtic who move the ball quick and play forward quick, it's a different test from St Johnstone and St Mirren. And within 25 minutes, 26 minutes, they've found that out and they've paid the price. So Hugh's right, it's important 10 minutes now to regroup and just see it out.
It's the knock-on effect. If you take a sore one at Celtic Park, how does it impact on those other games that we were talking about? Dundee United at Pittodrie, Rangers at Pittodrie, and then the semi-final against Celtic again at Hampden.
Yeah, it's a 5th goal of the season for Kyogo, 4 of them in the Premiership, that one against Bratislava in the Champions League. I suppose, Gordon, the other thing that will be really frustrating for Jimmy Tillene, you know that Celtic can cut you open and it's just part of it, but also they really didn't clear their lines effectively there at all, and it sort of gifts the chance really to Hatate first and then Kyogo.
If you're going to go to Celtic Park and try and get something, defensively you've got to be solid. Absolutely solid. You've got to defend from the front, and when you get the ball, be brave on it, try and keep it, because if you don't and you leave gaps, the movement of Celtic's middle three and front three will absolutely cut you open and destroy you, and that's exactly what's happening just now.
It's what happens between now and the interval that's important. We've watched Celtic do this to teams. Even Rangers go to Celtic Park and they've gone in, and Hatate and Kyogo have always had big parts to play in that as well. Gone in 3 down, half time, and the game's over. So Aberdeen, they need to either get a goal back, give themselves a sign of life, or at least avoid going 3 behind.
I don't think he, knowing his leanings in this fixture, will be happy, but Sir Alex Ferguson is in attendance.
Really?
Yeah, he is.
Well, this is the week, of course, in which he lost his ambassadorial role at Manchester United.
£2 million quid.
Great deal of, great deal of controversy.
Some 3. He's probably up asking Aberdeen, look, you need any work?
How much can you pay?
I'm available for a few dinners.
That'd be alright. How long's that been since he's left you?
13 years, yeah. You know,
he could do a shift in here tonight
collecting
if he fancies.
£2 million a year for that length of time. I know that he needs it, but
he deserves it. Look at the success he brought.
Listen,
Man United.
As well watching our football as watching Man United. I mean, they're headed for trouble.
11 years he's been away.
11 is
11, 2013.
Do you think he'll have a go at them now? Now that he's off the payroll?
No chance.
Manchester United?
Never.
Absolutely not.
It must be a day for the legends being in town. Did you get invited? Did you get invited to hospitality at Partick Thistle today?
No.
I thought you maybe knocked it back and they've got Alan Hansen up instead.
That is very, very good company.
He'll be raging though. That's half an hour delayed, remember. That's half an hour extra. He has to talk to people in the hospitality.
That's where hospitality comes in handy. Yeah, no, I'd take a half hour delay.
I don't think I've ever had hospitality at Partick.
Yeah,
it's one of the few.
No, I had a pal's 60th birthday in a corporate hospitality room.
If you're Don Cowie, you're having a word with Eli Campbell, sent off for a second yellow after 30 minutes. Ross County down to 10 men and they're a goal behind as well.
You feel for managers sometimes, don't you? Because working and stuff, you know, all week, and then a player goes and gets a second yellow, everything's at the window and you're 1 down.
You know, before the international break, Celtic are hanging on for dear life in Ningbo, and finally turn it around and win 2-1 with that belated Nicholas Kuhn goal. And then out of the international break, goal down to one of the worst teams in the league, and now down to 10 men.
Both for fouls on Matt Smith. The first booking came in the 5th minute and off by half an hour. Where are you now though? You know, manager should have seen this coming, should have taken him off.
You would need to take off everybody who got a yellow card then.
The most obvious one was the other week there, 3 weeks ago at St Mirren. Who was it again? Wasn't Mandron? Did Mandron come on?
He had to come off, remember, because he got away with one.
Came off, yeah. That was the most obvious. You could see that coming a mile away, and that was a good decision.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about it, was he? But I suppose the decision had to be made.
Surely you've got to have a word with the player though and say, what are you not happy about? Be annoyed at yourself, not me for taking you off. You've let your team down.
Let me remind you of the teaser.
Yeah, go on then.
Tell me the last 6 Scottish players to win the Scottish Player of the Year award. Since season 2013-2014, who are the half dozen who've been Scotland's Player of the Year?
Okay,
that's easy.
I think that's quite straightforward for you this afternoon, I have to say. I really do. I can see most of you getting that right, to be perfectly honest. Some wrong answers that might help you out. Craig Gordon?
No,
I know he's everywhere, but not on that list. What about Ryan Christie?
No,
not on the list as well. Okay, if that helps you at all, keep going at Clyde SSB. Get your thoughts in, please. Get your answers in, I should say. Still 2-0 to Celtic then. Hitati and Kyogo. Celtic comfortable against Aberdeen as we move slowly towards half time. Still a bit of time to go yet. No goals yet at Fir Park. Dundee United 1, Hibs 0, Hearts 1, St Mirren 0, and St Johnstone 1, 10-man Ross County 0 as well. So waiting to see your old pal has moved on. Hugh, Stirling Albion 1, Clyde 1. Robbie Leach has equalised. Have you caught up with your old pal Ian McCall since you left the post?
We had a wee day out. When did Scotland play Portugal? Wednesday? Tuesday. Yeah, so Wednesday we got together for a long chat about his life and times, and that will be in the newspaper tomorrow.
Has anybody got the Clyde job yet? Have I missed that?
Neil Scally is
interim charge.
Yeah,
I brought him through as a young lad here. Terrific young boy.
Neil Scally, Ian McCall thinks the world of him and thinks he should get it.
Yeah, lovely guy. Lovely young player. Terrific.
Incidentally,
wholehearted. No ability, but wholehearted.
Ant Deck have got 5 of the 6 players
already.
already.
Get 6. Hold on, I've just produced.
You won't want to speak out of turn, but is he feeling hard done by? Is he looking to get back in?
No.
What was the reaction?
No, not at all hard done by. He is firmly of the opinion that keeping Clyde in the SPFL last season by virtue of a 3-0 win at Elgin on the last day of the season was one of the best things that he ever did, and he should have gone then.
There's a big chance Aberdeen, so it was a tackle that left Leighton Clarkson with the chance to just slide it in. Alex Vai, well defended, blocks it for a corner to Aberdeen. So not down and out, giving it a good go to get back into this one.
But they've certainly got to get the next goal. I think if I was standing there, the manager, I'd be thinking, right, okay, it's been a difficult first half. Get in 2-0. Try and tweak one or two things, changes, whether it's personnel or whether it's tactically, because you've seen what Celtic are throwing at you, and then hopefully you can get an early goal and get yourself back into the game.
Bit of a half chance for Hearts. Kai rolls into the side netting as the Jambos look to double their advantage. Unlucky in the end,
Tony Bloom
for the Australian defender.
The Tony Bloom strategy is working. Hearts are a goal up and Brighton a goal up at Newcastle as well.
Brighton are a good watch this year.
They are,
yeah. Oh, they are fantastic. What about them against Tottenham a couple of weeks ago? Oh, what a game of football.
I see Ange Ball bounced back today. Was it 4-1?
4-1 the last time I've seen it.
Spurs against West Ham 1-0 down, won the game 4-1.
Yeah, well, he needed that because it's wonderful for people like me who have family who support Brighton. Wonderful afternoon for the kids and everything, but it was a shocker for Ange Postecoglou. I mean, a 2-0 half-time lead wiped out with half an hour of the game still to go.
He says it was one of the worst defeats he's had in his career, didn't he?
He told the Australian press that he wanted to strangle the players.
Did you get away with that sort of stuff in Australia?
Yeah.
Hey, not here.
Well,
you can't say that on TV.
Strangle them, mate.
I don't know if this is a sign of a stylistic change or just general dominance from Hearts, but 73% possession for Hearts against St Mirren.
I think that is stylistical.
It's a lift. Listen, it happens most times that a new manager comes in. Players get a sort of a lift, thinking, right, okay, I've got a great opportunity. And what they always do, they blame the manager that's left. We've seen it a million times. But as an individual, you get a lift, and that's what happens.
But that percentage of possession, that's got to be stylistically, that's got to be a message to keep the ball and come back out and work the other sides and all that, rather than go more direct to Shankland. It's got to be.
St Mirren not looking completely bereft, but their best bet really coming from corners. Killian Phillips heads wide at the back post. It was a tight angle. We can probably let him away with it. And just worth reflecting on that chance we told you about for Leighton Clarkson. It's actually a massive chance, Gordon. Aberdeen really should be back in this.
Well, that's a problem. If you're at Celtic Park, you're 2-0 down and you're gifted a massive chance, Gordon. If you've got any hope at all, you've got to put the ball in the back in it.
But the one thing I would say, trying to get a positive out of this, is that they haven't suffered a psychological collapse. They haven't gone 2 down and thought, oh, we're done for. They're still in there, fighting, believing, and that's why the crowd are getting the game that the hype deserved.
Ayr United 0, Livingston 2. Scott Pittman, that's a big game, that, in the Championship.
Massive, especially after Falkirk winning last night against Hamilton. I watched that, very good, entertaining game. Thought Hamilton responded well in the second half, 3-0 down. They were dreadful in the first. John Rankin made a couple of substitutions, but Falkirk were just too strong.
Are Falkirk becoming anyone's clear favourites for that league, or is it a bit early? Partick Thistle employee over here can't answer that, but
I think Livingston, I've got a sneaky for Livingston.
Really?
I think they're just going under the radar. They've got another difficult game this afternoon. They're 2-0 up. I've just got a feeling Livingston.
Goal at Fir Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And it is for the visitors. Dundee take the lead thanks to Lyle Cameron. There hasn't been a lot of goal scoring chances. I don't think it's been a classic, but that is a good time to score. We're heading towards half time. Lyle Cameron popping up with the goal, and it makes it Motherwell 0, Dundee 1. 39th minute, cut back into the net, 12 yards.
Stuart Kettlewell all week talking up the feel good factor surrounding Motherwell, the community, everything going well for them, but Dundee dogged under Tony Docherty, and we all know, courtesy of Tony Docherty, that they came to Auchenhowie and beat Rangers in a friendly during the international break, and they've picked up after that shocking 3-2 defeat to Kilmarnock at Dens before the break.
I'm not making any excuses for Motherwell, but I think the captain's a big miss today as well, Paul McGinn. I think he's been terrific in the back three for Motherwell. He's a leader as well, gives them that bit of pace. Look, the one thing about this Motherwell team this year, for me, I think they show good character. There's plenty of time to respond, and they're at home as well, so things aren't away yet. But Dundee have got their noses in front, and Dundee are not a bad side when they get their noses in front in games.
Yeah, Lyle Cameron with the goal, he's been impressive, Mark, but I think maybe an extra onus on him, though. People wondering if, is there a lot of expectation that he just fills in everything that Luke McCowan was doing, which is going to be difficult?
Well, it will be difficult, but I think it's maybe fair, because he was, and he has been a good player for a number of years now, but probably went under the radar because of what Luke McCowan did. He stole the thunder with a lot of spectacular goals and displays, but now it's an opportunity for him to really take the mantle. Good goal today. Tony Dock could be doing with that. It's all about mental strength now. Can he get them through 1-0 to half time, regroup his team, tell them to go again? Because psychologically at Dens a couple of weeks ago, it must have been heartbreaking for him to see his team collapse like that, and that affects players. So let's see what they've got in the next period.
Yeah, Celtic still 2-0 up. Kasper Schmeichel with an easy save there. It was a free kick. Dyson Maeda gave away the foul. I think it was Leighton Clarkson who went from distance, but just never enough really to even begin to trouble Kasper Schmeichel. Rio Hatate was pulled back a few moments ago as well, just in the middle of the park. So as Gordon says, sometimes these cliches are important. That next goal really dictates where this game is heading, because if Celtic get a third before the break, then it's get the calculator out time. But Aberdeen could get themselves back into it. They've shown that Leighton Clarkson chance was a big one. You just wonder if it will come back to haunt them, Hugh. You might not get loads of chances at Celtic Park.
Yeah, of course, but as we all know, 2-0 is not a guarantee of anything. If we get 2-0 half time, game starts again, and if Aberdeen get the first goal in the second half, then you've got a proper match in your hands then. So Celtic, no one needs to tell Brendan Rodgers about these things, so he would be telling the players at half time, do not tell yourselves that this is over.
I think one thing's for certain, when we were assessing Aberdeen and we were wondering how they were going to approach a game, there is no way that they came and parked a bus at Celtic Park. They have continued in the same vein that they've started the season, by trying to play out and play attractive football and get in behind the opposition. it's just probably for 40 minutes they've came up against a side who are clinical in the counter-attack and can pick passes better than anybody else that they've played against. And that's what happens when you got the levels. That's what happens when Celtic go to Dortmund, and when Celtic will probably go to Italy on Wednesday, they'll find it the same. So even though they're 2-0 down Aberdeen, I think it's good signs for the Aberdeen fans that they've got players who look comfortable in possession and will cause the other teams in the league problems, no doubt.
With regard to Bergamo Wednesday, Celtic Atalanta, they don't want to travel having slipped up, and a draw would be a slip up against the team closest to them in the Championship. They want to go to Italy with the psychological lift of a good win over Aberdeen.
Good game in Ayr United 1, Livy 2. Connor McLennan, recent signing, has scored just before the break, so that might shake things up a bit there. We're only just underway in that Partick Thistle Airdrie game. Mark Wilson, an injury.
Hold on. We gave him all the credit in the world on Thursday night for a
he stayed quiet this week.
Win. How did you go last night?
Hold on. I never say the results there.
Were you running down the touchline?
So you
the
knocked
helicopter stalled yesterday, I'll tell you that.
You knocked Rangers out the Youth Cup last weekend. How did yesterday go?
Oh, we got battered yesterday
by
3-1 off Ross County. By the way, it should have been more.
Well, that's good honesty for the coach.
I tell you what, learning curve.
Do you give the hairdryer treatment?
Do you?
Are you more of an arm round the shoulder?
No,
tactical
I
advice.
said to all 17 of them, pack it in. You're only good enough.
Do you honestly think
you can't say
he's
that
got
to
that
the
in
young
him?
lads?
The hairdryer.
Aye, I don't think he's got that in him. I think you just sit and laugh at him. Go on, helicopter, sit down there. That's fine.
It's the aeroplane. We discussed this on
Sorry,
Thursday.
I just get the
you got
transport.
us into a lot of trouble.
I just got the transport mixed up.
Let's round off your teaser, Hugh, before the half-time whistles start to go. St Johnstone have just missed a good chance, but it's still 1-0 to them.
Nice simple one.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Tell you what, spending a Friday night with you does wonders for you.
Yeah.
Brian Graham has scored after 5 minutes. Thistle 1, Airdrie 0.
Tell me the last 6 Scottish players to win the Player of the Year award. That's in season 2013-2014. Tell me the last 6 Scottish players to win the Player of the Year award.
Go on then, tell us. Tell me.
2014, Chris Commons.
Yes.
2016, Lee Griffiths. 2018, Scott Brown. 2019, James Forrest. 2022, Callum McGregor. And earlier this year, Lawrence Shankland.
There we go, well done. Mark Melvin in third place, Michael Donati second, and Knock Matondo is the winner. Well done to the three of you, well done to everyone who took part. We've got 2 of these to tell you about in that short period of time that Hugh was talking.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hibs are level and it's Warren O'Hara. It was a Newell free kick headed back across goal by Lewis Miller and in off the bar from the head of O'Hara, so level there. And
goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It is now 2-0 to St Johnstone. They have the numerical advantage. The scoreboard's looking pretty good as well. Benjamin Kimpioka tapping in at the back post to make it St Johnstone 2, Ross County 0.
What a brilliant scoreline for St Johnstone. Whether Valakari takes training or whatever he does, that's a terrific result. Ross County down to 10 men, of course. That bad day at the office for them.
Yeah, very good for St Johnstone fans. They had a lot to shout about this season. Then even when they get the new manager in, he can't take the game for them. But it's had a positive effect on the players. And Kimpioka, one that was badly missed, back in the score sheet today, and that game should be done and dusted, really.
A couple of big chances there for Celtic, could really be 3, but a let off for Aberdeen, especially as we reach this delicate period just before the break where the game can really look different heading in to the interval they're hanging on at the moment.
I think the Aberdeen manager will be delighted if he hears that half-time whistle. They cannot afford to lose another goal before half-time, because then the team talk really does become difficult. There's no way back for them whatsoever, so they've got to be careful.
Well, almost hoping that it does stay 2-0 so that the game retains its lustre. That's what it's had in the first half. It's been worthy of all the hype, but Gordon says if Celtic make it 3-0, then no one is ever going to convince you that that is not going to be a win for Celtic.
Half time at Fir Park. Here's Fraser.
Motherwell 0, Dundee 1. Not an awful lot to talk about, nothing to excite the supporters, particularly the home supporters here. A Lyle Cameron goal separates the teams after a really poor first 45 minutes, and other than the goal, hardly a noticeable effort on target. The game was played at too slow a tempo. It's like a pre-season game. The game started slowly and didn't improve from there. The first 10 minutes, Stamatelopoulos header, a yard wide, and both sides a bit cagey on the ball. Dan Casey with a header, Simon Murray with a shot, but at either end, but really taming into the keeper's arm. Simon Murray then knocked down a Fraser corner, blazed over by Clark Robertson. About 20 minutes passed, no change in the pattern of the game. Both teams dropping off to allow their opponents the ball. Neither side able to use that possession to create a chance. Ziyad Larkesh then tried his luck from 25 yards, didn't catch his shot, dribbled into Oxborough's arms. Billy Kumateo then came close, a powerful header from a Fraser free kick at the back post across the goal, but a yard wide. But Dundee were the better team of the two, and no surprise when they took the lead in 39 minutes. Good work on the left hand side by Larkesh. His cross was cleared, well, only half cleared, and it fell to Lyle Cameron, who hammered the ball low into the net from 12 yards. Really good finish with his left foot, gave the keeper no chance. Stamatelopoulos then had a half chance. He hooked the ball over from 16 yards, but Motherwell really didn't look at scoring at all in the first half, and Stuart Kettlewell has got a bit to think about at half time. Wouldn't be surprised if he made a couple of changes, because the stats say that he only had 7 touches inside the Dundee box in the first 45, and they were hardly near Trevor Carson in goal. Dundee deserved the head at half time at Fir Park. Motherwell 0, Dundee 1.
It's half time at Celtic Park. Here's Gabriel.
Half time and it's 2-0 to Celtic. Reo Hatate and Kyogo scoring in quick succession to take this game away from Aberdeen. It's been a brilliant battle between the league's best two so far. Celtic were at it from the off, although Aberdeen looked like they might be able to stand up to the challenge, playing the same way they have done all season. Arne Engels was the centre of all of Celtic's good early play, clipping the bar, then dragging a shot wide early on. But the deadlock was broken in the 24th minute. The Belgian midfielder released Kyogo down the right. He was in behind the Dons defence. Kyogo waited for runners and pulled it back to Reo Hatate, who was running onto the ball and timed a lovely left-footed shot into the bottom hand corner. 2 minutes later it was 2. The ball dropped to Hatate in the box again. This time his shot was blocked by the Dons defender. Kyogo was there to sweep the ball past Mitov. Celtic were really motoring towards the end there. It could have been 3, but Aberdeen did well to stop the bleeding. In the 35th minute was the Dons' only real chance, but it was a massive one. A mistimed tackle at the back gifted Leighton Clarkson a 1-on-1. Slid the ball past Schmeichel, but Alex Baye was there to clear. Aberdeen have offered very little in the final third other than that. The game, of course, has been billed as the Dons' chance to show their title credentials. Jimmy Tillin's side must improve in the second half to get anything out of this. Celtic look set to maintain their 100% record, and unless anything changes, the Dons will suffer their first defeat of the season. Half-time here at Parkhead, it's Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0.
It's also half time at Tynecastle, the first game under Neil Critchley for Hearts. Here's David Friel.
Yeah, the first game, Gordon, and it's going very well. Half time, Hearts 1, St Mirren 0. As I say, so far so good for Neil Critchley's first game as Hearts manager. They're 1 up, it probably should be more, and I think everyone inside Tynecastle is still talking about Kenneth Vargas's goal in 15 minutes. You'll probably see more spectacular goals this weekend, but this was a terrific team move. You need to catch the highlights later. Blair Spittle started it all. He found Benny Beningame. He fed a pass to Vargas. His backheel flick found Lawrence Shankland. His return pass with the outside of his right foot was absolutely outrageous, and Kenny Vargas, he matched the run and finished it off. What a goal, and it's no more than Hearts deserved after a really strong first half performance. They've had 71% possession. We spoke earlier, that's probably a sign of the style Neil Critchley wants to implement, and they have had other chances. Jan Danda, he worked with Critchley at Liverpool, he's been excellent as well off the right of midfield. He had a shot cleared off the line. Lawrence Shankland dragged one wide, he probably should have played in a teammate. Kai Rolls also crashed one into the side netting. St Mirren, they've been pretty poor, they've not had a lot of the ball, haven't really carried a threat in open play, but they are obviously dangerous from set pieces as always, and Killian Phillips probably had their best chance. He headed wide at the back post. St Mirren will undoubtedly feel they can play better, but Hearts on total control right now. Neil Critchley eyeing a dream start. Half time, Hearts 1, St Mirren 0.
Okay, I don't think we've got a half-time whistle yet from Roger Hannah, who's watching Dundee United against Hibs. Just to reflect quickly, Mark, and we'll do it in more detail, but clearly the type of half-time scoreline Brendan Rodgers would have had in mind.
Well, I think so. When you're coming up against a very good Aberdeen side, to go in 2 up, I think you'd be delighted with. When you take into consideration you've hit the crossbar as well and had several other efforts, probably could be further ahead. Exactly what he'd expect from his team at Celtic Park. And with that game on Wednesday, as the minutes we're on the second half, it will start coming into his head. But professional performance, very, very good. Attacking football like we've seen from Celtic, fast, always looking forward. He'll be delighted.
Yeah, but he will also know that the day is not done. So he'll be reminding his players, as will Jimmy Thielen, that a goal for Aberdeen alters the complexion of the game. A third goal for Celtic in the second half finishes the game. So the challenge is still there for both teams.
Number 1 for football in Glasgow and the West. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
We've given you some of the half-time reports. Let's add some more then. Roger Hannah has watched Dundee United against Hibs. Take it away, Roger.
Yeah, the interval is Dundee United 1, Hibernian 1, equal score, and probably just about an equal game as well. A match preceded by a minute's applause for Hibs legend Peter Cormack, who sadly passed away during international break. When we got underway, it was Hibs that threatened first. Chris Cadden and the fit again captain Joe Newell, both with deliveries to worry the United defence in their own box. Newell, he was then booked for a foul on Glenn Middleton as he tried to burst forward, and a few moments later Lewis Miller would probably be wishing he had done the same rather than letting Middleton scorch away from him. The former Hibs winger, all the way from halfway down the left hand side, he cut inside the Hibs box and laid a beautiful ball into the 6-yard box, which Sam Dalby bundled home under pressure for his first Dundee United goal. Hibs tried to equalise straight away, a ball into the box. Warren O'Hara's header well tipped over the top the United goalkeeper Jack Walton. Middleton is on fire this afternoon. Another great surging run into the Hibs box moments later, but this time he was crowded out before he could deliver the ball into the box. But Hibs suddenly in 43 minutes, possibly even against the run of play, Gordon, got an equaliser. Kwon was fouled about 35 yards out. The referee Craig Graham tried to give an advantage. Hibs couldn't take the advantage. He brought it back for the free kick. Joe Newell delivered left-footed into the box. Lewis Miller came in at the back post, headed back across goal, and there was O'Hara to head home from close range off the underside of the bar for his first Premiership goal for Hibernian. It's brought them level. We're in for an interesting second half at Saturday. Dundee United 1, Hibernian 1.
Let's do a roundup of the half-time scores then on the back of that. In the Premiership, Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0, Dundee United 1, Hibs 1, Hearts 1, St Mirren 0, Motherwell 0, Dundee 1, and St Johnstone 2, Ross County 0. In the Championship, Ayr United 1, Livy 2, Dunfermline 0, Morton 0, Partick Thistle 1, Airdrie 0, but only 18 minutes have gone there, and Wraith Rovers 1, Queen's Park 0. In League 1, Arbroath 1, Dumbarton 1, Cove 1, Queen of the South 0, Inverness 1, Annan 0, Kelty 0, Montrose 0. In League 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Edinburgh City 0, Forfar 0, East Fife 0, Spartans 1, Elgin City 1, Stirling Albion 1, Clyde 1, and Stranraer 0, Peterhead 0. The second halves are coming up next.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Audi. Book a test drive for the fully electric range today. Head online for details.
With Bank of Scotland, you can set up a pension in less time than it takes to finish a cup of tea. Our ready-made pension is easy to open. You can apply in minutes on the Bank of Scotland app, add in any old pension pots, and see how your pension is doing anytime you like. Ready-made pensions from Bank of Scotland, making pensions refreshingly simple. Oh, lovely. Bank of Scotland. By your side. Transferring is not for everyone. Pensions are a long-term investment. Capital at risk. Fees and charges apply. Internet banking customers only.
When you drive the new all-electric Ford Explorer, you might just find yourself going further and further and further and further than you expected. With a range of up to 374 miles on a full charge, where will the Ford Explorer take you? Book a test drive today. Search Ford 48-Hour Test Drive. Ford, bring on tomorrow. T's and C's apply. Range based on official test data and may vary in different driving conditions.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Let's quickly go back to Celtic Park ahead of the second 45. Aberdeen trailing 2-0 at the break. Gabriel?
Yes, Gordon, Celtic just emerged from the tunnel. They are unchanged. They want to keep the performance going from the first half. 2-0. Could have been 3, but Jimmy Tillin has rolled the dice. He's made 2 changes. Kevin Nisbet and Leighton Clarkson are off. Estes Sokler and Duke are on. 2 attacking changes, Gordon. So clearly he's not worried about conceding goals. He wants his side to get back into this game. Huge 45 minutes coming up here at Celtic Park.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get advice on keeping infections and viruses away when school returns.
What about that approach then from Jimmy Tillin?
Management is about big calls, and that's a big one, and also a ringing endorsement of how Jimmy Tillin wants to play football. He's not given up in this game, not by a long chalk, and he's just come on with 2 different attacking styles to test Celtic.
I like it, I really do. I wouldn't say it's a brave move, because he's obviously went light for light, but he's got a bit more pace up the top end of the pitch, and he probably needs something that he's looked at the game, and Celtic have dominated most of the first half, probably looking and thinking, do you know what, maybe not lucky just to get in 2, may as well get out here, be positive. But the one thing you've got to say is it is positive, but they've still got to get the ball, and they've got to get service if it's going to make any difference. I don't think it is. I think Celtic will kick on and win this game comfortably.
Yeah, Sokker's more physical presence, isn't he, up top, and Duke probably more of a ball carrier with a bit of pace, and Clarkson. So yeah, nothing wrong with it. He's obviously not got what he's after off Nisbet and Clarkson, so why not roll the dice? I
suppose in the era of 5 subs, it's much more common to see a couple at the break now, because you look across Motherwell, not happy with their attack. Stamatolopoulos and Robinson off, Tony Watt and Moses Ibiye on. Similarly, Adeniran and Phillips off. Bomono and Smith off. Do you know what? David Friel has given me a few versions of these substitutions, and it's confusing me.
They've changed it for starting 11.
Come on, David.
And Phillips off. I'm going for, I think, Bomono and Smith on. I'm all over the place. I'm gone. I've lost the plot completely, I have to say.
I would quit where you're ahead and go to another game.
Quit where we were behind. The point I was trying to make is Smith and Phillips are off. There you go. But most teams who are not happy with what they're seeing are making double changes.
I think it's good for the managers, I really do, because in the olden days, the 3 subs, you had to be careful. You always thought, right, I'll give it to the 60th minute, then I'll make the changes. Look, you have a feeling for a game as a manager. You're standing there watching it, you're watching your players, you know you need to change something, you need a spark, you just need something to happen for you. And that's why
yesterday
sorry, just quickly, someone's come out fast after this restart. Let's find out who it is.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It is Hearts. That double change for St Mirren hasn't worked. It's a belter from Oyegoke, and Hearts scoring even quicker at the start of the second than they did at the first. Neil Critchley is flying.
Yeah, that's very, very important for him. It doesn't matter that St Mirren have personnel problems of one nature or another. He can only look after his own team, and he's going to get off to a winning start. He's got Europe, Omonia Nicosia on Wednesday, and then the biggie, Hibs at Easter Road next Saturday. He'll be perfectly happy to have started in the fashion in which he has done against St Mirren.
Yeah, a great start for him. That looks like, I know 2-0's just not that 100%, but at home under a new manager, get off to a terrific start, and man making substitutions. That looks like a great 3 points this afternoon. I'd be surprised if they throw anything away today.
I'll tell you what, the standard of the 2 goals as well. So this one 20 yards out, left footed, curling in off the post, which is always better Everyone can agree aesthetically when it just hits the woodwork and goes in. Wonderful start to the second half. Hibs have made changes as well. Boyle for Lewis Miller. He took a heavy knock just before the break, smashed into the advertising board. Had a good week scoring for Australia, but not such a good afternoon here. So change there for Hibs. We've got a goal at Celtic Park. We said the next goal was going to be important.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And Aberdeen's changes have worked, because it's Esther Sockler, one of the men who's come on. He was put through 1-on-1, made no mistake. It is game on at Celtic Park.
Well, that's again a tribute to the way that Jimmy Tillene approaches his football, and it is turning out to be the epic that we had hoped it would be. What a game we have in our hands now. Could Aberdeen come back from a 2-goal deficit and get something at Celtic Park? The gauntlet has been thrown down to Celtic.
Well, I said they've been looking dangerous because they promote bodies forward, but the changes, not brave, but just looking for something different. Duke, a ball carrier, and he shows why he's been brought in, because he causes havoc when he gets the ball and he can run past people. But Sockler, physical presence, and he's got his team back in the game, set up for a cracking second half.
There's nothing better for a manager making substitutions, and it turns out to be a positive substitution. Certainly got Aberdeen back in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the impact you're hoping a substitution makes. It's a strange one, Mark, because Aberdeen did have that big chance in the first half, but you also felt like Celtic were 2-0 up without really coming out of second gear. So now all of a sudden they'll be keen to see what sort of reaction both sides produce here to this goal.
I mean, the goals they get Celtic when Aberdeen's promoting bodies forward and they pick them off, but in fairness, Celtic had a few efforts over the bar and they hit the bar, but never really carved them open. And Aberdeen, I always thought in that first 45, maybe just one or two passes away from being through, and they did get through from Carson, but his finish lacked quality. But they've gave themselves a chance here, because it's quite easy to go under at Celtic Park when you fall 2 down, and they kept in it. Like Hugh was saying, it was an important 10 minutes, and they regrouped, and they get at half time 2-0 down, and now it's game on again.
Well, I know that Celtic is a different kettle of fish generally, Hugh, but if you can't have some sort of belief in your abilities to come back after this start to the season, then you never will. That's maybe why it's all been sort of leading to this kind of level of belief that they've instilled.
We were looking to find out what Aberdeen were made of, and we have found out that they are made of something substantial, because they didn't buckle at 2-0. They have scored a goal that has exposed Celtic defensively. Potentially a worry for Brendan Rodgers ahead of the game against Atalanta, which follows on from a 7-goal hiding in Dortmund. But in terms of Aberdeen, they could have buckled. Every other side that Aberdeen have taken to Celtic Park in the last 5 years has buckled, did not score goals, but they're back in it in a major fashion.
There will always be critics and ways of looking at what Celtic could have done better, Mark, but it is a stunning pass to set up Esther Sockler, and if it was Rio Hatate or Arnie Engels who put that pass through for Kyogo at the other end, everyone would be raving about it all weekend. So credit where it's due.
Yeah, Jimmy McGrath, it's a sensational pass. I don't think you'll see a better pass, defence splitting pass all season.
There you go, big praise.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee United back in front, 2-1 they lead against Hibs. It's a Sam Dalby header from Glenn Middleton's cross. Middleton's been really good. He's tormented Cadden, who's at right back. He stands in the cross, and there is Sam Dalby on loan from Wrexham to score and put Dundee United 2-1 in front. Let's do your teaser, please, Hugh. I think again this is very doable today.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Sonia Luco and Jackie McNamara. I've been managed by Mark McGee and Dick Campbell. I was in my country's international squad but never won a cap. I did win a cup competition and Player of the Year for the same club. Who am I? Played alongside Sonia Luco, Jackie McNamara, managed by Mark McGee and Dick Campbell. I was in my country's national squad but never won a cap. I did win a cup competition and Player of the Year for the same club. Who am I?
So that, to be clear, that would be that club's Player of the Year, not the country's Player of the Year. Okay, good one that. At Clyde SSB, the race is on, so let's see what you've got for us at Clyde SSB. They're still checking that Dundee United goal actually again for offsides. We'll see if it stands. I think it's Glenn Middleton at the start of the move just being checked to see if he was in an offside position. So I'll keep you up to speed. Anything else on that? But we've got a big game on our hands now, Gordon. Aberdeen back in it, and very much sensing that they could go and do it again.
Well, I've got to be honest, I thought, listening to Gabs at half time, I thought Celtic were cruising. I thought it'd be a case of come out the traps, get another one, gives Brendan Rodgers the freedom to use his substitutions with an eye on Wednesday night's big game. But all credit to Aberdeen, they made the changes, and it's them that's responded better. Get themselves back in.
No goal, still level in that game, 1-1. Dundee United and Hibs.
Oh, that's a big call. But getting back to that'll give Aberdeen so much hope. And well done to the manager. He didn't wait for the usual, can I get a response after my team talk at half time. He made the substitutions and he's got the response.
And in fairness, Mark, honestly, in case people think we're exaggerating, the pass from Jamie McGrath is so good that it's not like Celtic, dropped out of things at the start of the second half. It's a proper moment of magic. So there's no real danger on. The pass is that good, and all of a sudden, the game looks completely different.
But the pass is that good. The technique to pull it off. The run, though, again, it's a forward run trying to get in behind the Celtic defence, but you still need the execution. And to hit that in a half volley with outside of your foot, to then go around Liam Scales, the weight of the pass as well is incredible. But by the way, the finish is good.
Yeah.
Because Schmeichel running out to you at pace and he slots that way into the corner. Terrific goal.
Might be interesting the subs that Brendan Rodgers makes in this game, because periodically this season he's had to delve into the subs bench to stop games running away from Celtic. There was the cup tie with Falkirk at Celtic Park. And Dingwall, before the international break, he made certain changes there that turned the game in Celtic's favour again. He might need to go to the bench again.
I suppose the difference here compared to those is Celtic were in control of this one and still lead, but I think you're right, the teams always make changes anyway. Good teaser on the go for you there as well at Clyde SSB.
I've got a sneaky about it.
That's fine, write it down, shows, we'll tell you. The easiest afternoon of all the Premiership teams is St Johnstone, you would have to say. They're 2-0 up, they're against 10 men, they're continuing to dominate. Adama Sidibe just had a shot deflected over, nothing came of the corner though.
Did Valakari bring anyone else in with him?
Staff wise?
Yeah. Or is Alex Clarence still taking the team? Or
Gordon Dale's got that teaser, by the way.
That doesn't surprise
Impressive.
me. Doesn't surprise me. Who is it? Point it.
Don't say out loud, please, if you can help it.
Right, okay.
See thinking.
Your knowledge is incredible. Incredible.
I'm 6 out of 6 and beat the pundit. I'm the man to be feared. Roger the Heat is no longer the champion. I am taking over.
Very good at this. Aye, with those clues. You should do a lot more things. Just piece things together and you just come up with the answer.
Yeah, his mind works in mysterious ways. What's the reaction been like, your adoring public, since you announced on the show that you're having your hair transplants?
I'm getting a lot of good
feedback.
Oh, I was in the barber's this morning and that conversation came up
with Francis.
Aye, Francis said, does he know what he's letting himself in for? The pain and what they actually do to. And she spoke me through how they do it.
Sometimes you got to go through a little pain to get the benefits, and I'm prepared to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
For what benefits though?
Well, I'm got to.
Price of beauty, isn't it?
Yeah.
The
nice.
vanity.
Look, it never stops. It never. What do you go to the gym for? To keep fit and be muscly like me? What do you go and look at your diet to make sure that you've got a nice six pack and stuff like that, Mark?
I know she left like me out of that there, because you've not got a six pack.
So when you get a wee bit older, then you've got to start concerning yourself with other parts of the body.
It's going to be sore.
Good opening there for Aberdeen. It was a mistake from Alex Valle. Keskinen was in, he probably should have cut it across. It was a good block though from Liam Scales. So Celtic making life a bit more difficult for themselves than they ought to.
Could it be they're the ones who are rattled now?
I think just a mistake at the back. Celtic coming forward thereafter and trying to make something happen. And actually, a moment or two ago, Kyogo maybe just took too long in the box. He had a decent chance. It was passed into.
I think the fans at Celtic Park are enjoying what they're watching. End to end, it's the way a contest like this should be played out, where it's end to end. Two teams with perfect records so far. Should be end to end. Should be exciting, and it is.
That's the DB came close again. St Johnstone really comfortable, Hugh.
Yeah, clearly just one of those days for Don Cowie and Ross County. They're 10 versus 11. There's 2 goals behind, and I don't know, whatever's happening at Perth, it's a different proposition to the Craig Levein time. Whoever's dealing with it.
I'll tell you who's not happy. Stuart Kettlewell. There's an hour gone, he's made 4 changes.
4?
Yeah, Dan Casey and our own Andy Halliday now off. Scored the winner the last time Motherwell played. Not such a good day here. Maswanisi and Tavares on. So that's 2 wingers on for a centre back and a central midfielder, and we've got a goal at Celtic Park. This is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp. Summer is over, autumn's here, and spooky season is fast approaching. Whether your Halloween icon is Jason from Friday the 13th or Michael Myers, it's safe to say October is a month for masks. But masks aren't just for Halloween. Some of us feel like we're wearing a mask all of the time. Perhaps it's a smile to cover up the fact that even if you look fine on the outside, you're not actually doing very well. Perhaps your mask is for the benefit of your colleagues at work. Maybe it's for your friends or even your family. But if there's a side of you that you're having to keep hidden, it might be worth trying to understand why that is. Therapy can help you accept all parts of yourself so you can take off the mask and be the real you around the people you love. You don't have to have suffered a particular trauma or been through a major life change. It can simply be that you want to learn positive coping skills, how to set boundaries, or just be a better version of yourself. And if you don't think therapy is for you, why not give it a go anyway? Because you've literally got nothing to lose, and you might actually be surprised. With almost 5,000 therapists in the UK already, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise. Visit betterhelp.com/SSB today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/SSB.
Oh, that's Jamal from number 5, master of bin day in the car park. Our group chat would be lost without him. Oh, more Fox Fight videos. It's sweet and constant. I mean, what kind of a phone contract is he on?
Well, here at Tesco Mobile, we've frozen the price of his contract with club card prices, so he doesn't have to worry about his price going up. Shall I sign you up too?
Go on then.
It pays to be connected. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. Terms apply. See tescomobile.com/frozen prices.
When you drive the new all-electric Ford Explorer, you might just find yourself going further and further and further and further than you expected. With a range of up to 374 miles on a full charge, where will the Ford Explorer take you? Book a test drive today. Search Ford 48-hour test drive. Ford, bring on tomorrow. T's and C's apply. Range based on official test data and may vary in different driving conditions.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And Aberdeen are level. It's a deflected shot from Graham Shinney. Rifled it took a deflection, it's in the back of the net, and after being 2-0 down at half time, Aberdeen are level before we reach the hour mark.
Well, that for the Celtic fans is a shocker, and I think that defensively they have problems to address before they go to Atalanta. First of all, congratulations and full credit to Jimmy Tillene and to the Aberdeen players, because they've gone in 2-0 down at half time, and far from buckling, they have been inspired, and it's 2-2, and they'll be thinking that they can win this game now. But I think defensively Celtic have problems on their hands. Scales and Trusty have put serious doubt in my mind about what happens in Bergamo on Wednesday night. 7 goals lost to Dortmund, and now defensively a very poor show. And where is Carter Vickers? Will he be fit for midweek? Was he left out today? But first of all, Celtic have to address the fact that they are now no longer in a position where they can say they're favourites to win this match.
Brilliant from Aberdeen, you have to say, Gordon. What a spirit.
Look, I'll apologise. I'd written them off at half time, Gordon. I thought it was a case of how many for Celtic this afternoon. But when you go to Celtic Park and you say, right, OK, the next 4 games has got to define our season, I think this second half is the one, because they have showed terrific character. To come back from 2-0, it's easy to go out there and say, look, keep the score down, make sure it's not a real doing, and we can go away with Celtic at Celtic Park, heads held high. They've come out, they've responded, they've been positive, they've created a few chances, the substitutes have worked, they're causing Celtic all sorts of problems. It's now up to Celtic to respond to that.
Yeah, what a game. We hoped it would be this way. We said there's nothing between the teams on paper so far this season. They've both won all their games, they've both been pretty flawless. Celtic's level clearly had been higher, but then you would expect that, and it was Celtic really making life difficult for themselves. A few misplaced passes. We said one a moment or two ago from Alex Valle. This time it was actually Daisen Maeda that started it. He gave it away in a silly area, and then after that, Mark, let's be honest, we've given credit to Aberdeen. There's an element of good fortune. The strike from Shinnie takes a deflection that means Schmeichel's never going to save it. But Celtic shooting themselves in the foot, giving the ball away.
They'll give them the ball away when they've got comfortable possession, and against a team like Aberdeen, they've got quality at the top end of the pitch. You run the risk, of course. The goal is a huge slice of luck, but what isn't luck is Aberdeen have got 5 bodies in and around the box in a flash as soon as Celtic give that ball away. And that's what I was saying at half time about Aberdeen just being a pass or 2 away from getting something in that first 45 minutes. And there you go, 1 pass to get the goal back, split the Celtic defence, and OK, they've worked a bit of fortune there, but they're promoting bodies forward. That's down to Jimmy Thalen and how he manages this side. And even when you look at how they're pressing Celtic, they're not sitting back, they're pressing them in their own penalty area, and they deserve everything to get here.
Where I think Celtic will be disappointed, they gave the ball away cheaply first and foremost, and all of a sudden Aberdeen marched right, they got bodies forward. Yes, they got a little bit of luck, but you need that, of course you do, and probably deserve it in their second half display. Brilliant. It makes for a terrific last 30
How many times have you seen teams come to Celtic Park and Celtic give the ball away? Of course they do, but teams then just peter it away. They hit it to their striker who's got no support, and Celtic quickly win it back. Within a flash, Aberdeen are just thinking, let's get bodies forward, and of course it's came off. Is it Scales that comes off, or Trusty that comes off?
Trusty.
But again, huge credit, because it takes a lot to get through.
For Celtic, Reo Hatate and Daisen Maeda. Hatate obviously started the game very well, to be fair, scored one, had a hand in the other. Not the usual Daisen Maeda show that you get, he's off as well. So Paulo Bernardo and James Forrest come in to the game.
Well, Paulo Bernardo has been excellent since the season started. He has enjoyed the fact that with Matt O'Reilly's departure for Brighton, he's had a higher significance at Celtic Park, and he has chipped in with goals and looked the part. James Forrest, I'm slightly surprised. He is at that stage in his career where he can be used sparingly, but it's a move that Brendan Rodgers has decided must be taken. I think there'll be other substitutions as well, because Brendan Rodgers knows that this game has not gone to plan. I have not seen a game for years where a team other than Rangers have arrived at Celtic Park and played in the manner in which Aberdeen are playing today. Celtic are rattled, and you would have to say this game is very much in the balance. It would not be a surprise if Aberdeen get a third and won.
Yeah, the scoreboard tells us that for sure. Celtic 2, Aberdeen 2, 25 of the 90 to go. Celtic have made those changes. We know Paulo Bernardo has scored big goals. Aberdeen fans over the years know all about James Forrest's big goals, so they'll be hoping they can lock those two out. Maeda was disappointing, Mark, not only giving the ball away for that second goal, but we didn't see as much of him in an attacking sense as you normally would.
No, I'm going to give credit to Devlin then for that, because he runs away from plenty of people. He certainly didn't, Devlin, in the first period, and as a full back, it's hard work putting the shackles on Daisen Maeda, and he's done that for 65 minutes, 70 minutes this afternoon, so well done. It's been a great period for Devlin.
I think it's a great period for the two Aberdeen fullbacks, Mackenzie as well. I think the two of them have been excellent. I really have, and they deserve to be in the Scotland squad. Devlin come on the other night there. You seen what his first touch, the desire just to get in and block. He was, he's a breath of fresh air. I like the way he goes about his business, and a lot of defenders haking up against the pace of that man, Maeda. So well done to him today, because it shows you that Brendan Rodgers thought he's not getting anything out of him, I need to change it.
Yeah, what a result we have in the making. Still a long way to go, of course, and actually both teams will fancy winning it from here. But even a draw, you suspect, would be a huge statement for Aberdeen.
Well, yeah,
I think
especially
even the worst
having
case,
been 2-0 down.
the worst case for Aberdeen, and even if they lose this game, I think it shows enough that they've come on leaps and bounds, obvious. But I think it was Daz that said that even the second half alone has shown that they are the real deal and how they play. It would have been easy to throw everything out today, change your tactics, sit in, and try and just nullify Celtic. They've certainly not tried to do that at all, and that's quite impressive. So good on Jimmy Thielen, good on the players, because it's the players that have to go out there and carry out the instructions and do the hard yards, and they've done that.
Goal in one of the other games, let's tell you all about it.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Cruise control now for St Johnstone. Nicky Clark makes it 3. Jason Holt had a shot in the box, it fell to Clark, heads into the goal. Ross County down to 10 men early on, and this is an absolute doing.
Yeah, as I say, St Johnstone, whoever is taking training.
No, it's still Andy Kirk and Alec Cleland.
Right, well, they're 3 up and looking the part, and that's a real good result for them, because it would lift them several places up the league table, perhaps. For Ross County, very, very poor, and Don Cowie has a lot of thinking to do. How did a side go from playing as well as they did against Celtic to playing so badly against St Johnstone?
I've said it before, though, it's such a different challenge, isn't it? You're just asked to go, you're at home, and all you're asked to do is go and make life difficult for Celtic. That's not,
whereas
it's not the same as
you're thinking we can go and beat St Johnstone here away from home. Look, I just think when I look at this league,
VAR's checking that one, by the way, but nevertheless, carry on.
It's very difficult to predict. There's Motherwell. I think everybody would think Motherwell at home today would have been a banker against Dundee, who lose to Kilmarnock and been 2-0 up and not really hit the heights of last season.
The goals ruled out, but nevertheless St Johnstone are still 2-0 up and going very comfortably.
Come on, Ross County, get one back quickly. They did, what was that, a couple of weeks ago up in Dingwall, and it went right in at the last minute and they got themselves back in it, but I doubt it this time.
Celtic looking a bit shaky here, making some mistakes. Hugh, give us your teaser, please.
Yes, I have played alongside Sonia Luco and Jackie McNamara. I have been managed by Mark McGee and Dick Campbell. I was in my country's national squad but never received a cap. I did win a cup competition and win Player of the Year for the same club. Who am I?
Okay.
How did you get that?
Paul says Chick Charnley.
That's quite easy. I wish it was, but it's not.
Barry thinks Phil O'Donnell.
No.
Andy thinks Lee Miller.
No.
Mick thinks it's Adam Virgo.
I don't have
that. No.
Okay, keep your
I know the club's
Oh, hold on, got a goal at Celtic Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Celtic
3,
2, Aberdeen 3, and it's Esther Sockler who heads in from the free kick. We think he got the final touch anyway. I don't think Jimmy Tolino cared who scored. What a comeback this is. 2-0 down at half time. Aberdeen lead Celtic at Celtic Park by 3-2.
Well, I think we have answered the question of, do they have substance, Aberdeen? Yes, they have substance enough to go 2 behind at Celtic Park, then score 3 and rattle Celtic. And this, on the eve of the Champions League tie, is a disaster for Celtic. Defensively,
VAR check.
Defensively, whether it stands or not, a disaster for Celtic. They, at the back, the loss of Greg Taylor and Carter Vickers has resulted in a severe drop in efficiency at the back, and we now know the answer to the question: are Aberdeen the real deal? Yes, and
right,
no doubt.
Do your speech in case it gets VAR Dropped off doing our speech.
Go on, Hugh.
Quick.
Go on.
We'll edit the one in. No, when you do your column, one column for winning, one column for defeat.
If this goal stands, Aberdeen win this match.
Oh, there's a big brave shout.
No goal.
Seriously,
ruled out.
I said if this goal stands. But I'll tell you what.
I tried to bail you out there.
It doesn't matter. I still stand by my point. The loss of Greg Taylor and Cameron Carter-Vickers has turned the Celtic defence into a side a unit that's not efficient.
Hits Duke's hand.
Remember, Hugh, every goal you lost isn't specifically down to a back four or the individuals in that back four. There's a lot more. You know, if you're a back four and you're stretched and try to play, and Maeda gives the ball away,
Maeda passes the ball straight to Aberdeen. That's not.
Or
not Greg Taylor's
you don't
ball.
press high enough up the pitch, and Jamie McGrath plays a defence splitting part. It's very difficult then to say you're back four. That's your fault.
Well, anyway,
it's a team.
You stand
collective.
on me. You stand on me. 7 goals lost to Dortmund. No Carter Vickers. No.
Greg Taylor was in that back four.
I think there'd be a lot of people who'd like to stand on you.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it was a header, and you know that way we've seen it before. We saw it with the debate about Lennon Miller's goal against St Mirren. You'll remember Scott McTominay against Poland. If the ball hits the goal scorer's arm, it just is ruled out regardless. So that it's pretty. It's actually it's pretty unlucky in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, no. There's a header that hits Duke in the arm and the ball goes in, so he literally scores with his arm. So I know everyone, because it's what we do, will make a big song and dance and try and make it controversial. Not only does Duke, I thought maybe Duke handballed it and then put it into the net, which would still be ruled out. He literally scores with his arm. So
VAR has done its job. The general picture here, though, is that Jimmy Tillene has shown that he's building something really special at Pittodrie. Sir Alec Ferguson, sitting there at Celtic Park today, must be thinking to himself, this is good. I haven't seen this for decades at Aberdeen.
I think he's going to start going to Aberdeen games again now that he's not an employee at Man United.
Man United are rubbish. You'd be as well watching.
They are now winning, but you're right.
But the story of the match for me is twofold. It is Aberdeen are doing a sensational job at Celtic Park. Celtic are actually being intimidated and bullied at times by a team they had a 2-goal lead over, and the Celtic supporters watching cannot be happy about it. But Celtic are showing a vulnerability that fans did not think they possessed, and the vulnerability will be even greater if they do not even get 1 point out of this game.
It's a great game. This is what we hoped it would be. Let's celebrate it. It has been a fantastic occasion. We thought Aberdeen had taken the lead. It's been ruled out. It hit Duke's hand and then crossed the line, so I don't think there's much debate to be had there. And it's still 2-2 with about 15 of the 90 to go.
We want a great game. We want entertainment. We want Aberdeen to come down and make it a real challenge for Celtic. At half time, I don't think anybody would have really given Aberdeen a hope. He made the substitutions. The difference in them, they've got belief, they've got confidence, they've got energy, they're causing problems. Celtic need to respond now. They've got the warning there. They've got away with one with the VAR, so they've got to respond.
And still next to nothing in an attacking sense from Celtic, Mark, in the second half. It's mistakes at the back can happen, and you can look a bit nervy and momentum can start to swing, but Celtic's attacking threat has been not really there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, they're not their usual phone self, and certainly in this second period anyway. They maybe created 1 or 2 openings in the first half, but yeah, they're not really battering down the door. I think the 2 Aberdeen centre halves have been fairly comfortable throughout. So again, great credit. But again, does that come from you're putting pressure on the ball higher up the pitch, so Celtic have no real time to get into their flow and rhythm? We see it quite often in European games where bigger teams are braver to play against Celtic and they struggle. So
I sort of agree and disagree with Hugh a little bit. You can't just single out players. The left back, Miscreant. But where I do really agree, and I've watched Celtic, I don't think the 2 centre halves complement each other.
No.
Just in the aftermath of that disallowed goal, by the way, Adam Ida replaced Kyogo, so a change in attack. Kyogo did score earlier. Again, it's the first half, you would think there was no problem on the horizon for Celtic. Kyogo was scoring and Hatate was scoring, and they were complementing each other, but they've both gone off, and Celtic have gone off the boil, quite frankly.
The one outstanding player of the season so far has been Nicholas Kuhn, and Nicholas Kuhn has had very little to offer this game.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee United 1, Hibs 2. Remember, United thought they had taken the lead. That got ruled out, and now Dwight Gale gets his first goal since joining Hibs. Remember, he passed up that great headed chance at Ibrox. Well, he scored a header here. It's probably against the run of play. He's just come on as a sub and he's scored. So Dundee United 1, Hibs 2. Here's a bit of a worry for various people. Craig Gordon down injured. Honestly, that's true. I think one of you two could get a game and goal for Scotland coming up. I think he might be okay. He's getting treatment. Arnie Engels off now for Luke McCowan.
Well, I think that's a good idea. McCowan, I think, has looked inspired by wearing Celtic's jersey, and Arne Engels was anonymous in Dortmund, anonymous in Dingwall, and anonymous today.
He actually started well today.
He hit the bar, but he has not been the one that you go to for £11 million. You're looking for a greater contribution. He's gone quiet, and Brendan Rodgers clearly now thinking, I need to find inspiration from somewhere.
Ross County are down to 9 men. Charlie Telfer has just come on and then been sent off.
For what?
Looked like a sore one on Sven Sprangler. Straight red card. Down to 9 men and losing 2-0.
Yep, 2.
After the last one was.
I didn't even know Charlie Telfer was at Ross County.
There you go.
Well, he won't be for long if he keeps up that discipline record.
I was going to say earlier on, we were chatting about substitutions. I made 3 substitutions at half time.
He's cracking the whip.
And then I made another 2, probably 15 minutes in, and then one of my players got injured, didn't they? So he had to come off.
That's bad management, mate.
Wasn't he? Because the 5 subs were making an impact in the hand, and we were back in it at 2-1. Then injury came, and I was going to put my goalie on.
Blame the coach.
Motherwell have made 5 already. With a good bit left here.
You're just praying nobody gets injured.
Marvin Coletta replaced Stephen O'Donnell a good few minutes ago now as well. So they're going to have to see out
no
this
shiny Motherwell getting back in it.
Yeah, it doesn't look likely. Craig Gordon's okay. So he, Neil Critchley and Steve Clark amongst others breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Quite a story that during the week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
41-year-old making saves like that against Portugal.
Well, he's a consummate professional for me, Craig Gordon, and you know he's clearly not falling apart physically. So you know, he happens to be 41. Goalkeepers can do that.
You wonder though, it's hard enough for outfield players to run about with all the aches and pains. Never mind at 41 diving a bit, Hugh, and having to get back up.
Do you not think goalkeepers are easier than outfield players?
In terms of diving and stuff like that.
Well, okay, they're going to dive, of course.
I think their hips take a battering and things like that, and their elbows.
Nonsense.
Well, their players just have to run, don't they?
Well, they have got to run. They'll be tackling.
I don't think there's any doubt it must be slightly easier for goalies, but I keep hearing this. It's not like there are not loads of 41-year-old goalkeepers kicking around. You know, it's not. People are almost acting like, so if your average outfield player is retiring at kind of 35, and goalies can go until they're 37, 38, fine. But he is 41, 42 at the end of the year. I don't see many other goalies that age.
But if you're a bad goalkeeper or showing the signs of age, then okay, I'll agree with you. But for as long as
but people don't retire due to lack of ability, really. You know, the body finishes on them.
The man plays first team football for Hearts. He's quite capable of playing international football for Scotland. He happens to be 41.
He'll be one of these guys that'll be playing 5s at 67 years.
You don't think it's extra credit to Craig Gordon that he's doing that at 41?
Of course I do.
Well, that's what everyone's saying. Like, no one. I don't understand why you're so in a disagreement with the notion that we should point out his age. It's a good thing. It's a compliment. He's defying that to play.
Well, he's defying it in a sense, but if he's not in any way incapacitated or
I wonder what his
hampered.
I wonder what his bio age is.
With a machine at the gym.
Yeah, I'm very much into that.
What does yours say?
58.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What does that machine do?
It tells you lies. Of course.
What would it say if I stood on
it? Not long to go.
Red wine. Excess red wine. Gio Tavares, half chance for Motherwell, not more than that. It's a kind of bouncing ball. It's sat for him, but he hits it over the bar from 12 yards.
Right.
So it's got
Come on, Dazzler. Call it then.
Call it. I think Celtic will grab a late winner at Celtic Park today.
Marco?
I think this game will end a draw.
What about you, Sean? Aberdeen. You're going Aberdeen,
yeah,
aren't
I'm
you?
going Aberdeen. So
yeah.
We'll get one for each.
Okay.
If we're being slightly fussy or slightly picky, the Aberdeen momentum they had built up has maybe just dipped slightly in the last, since the disallowed goal. That's not to say Celtic have done much up the other end.
Yeah, slightly. I think the changes might have, gave Celtic a wee jab, and some Aberdeen players maybe feeling the strains of the distances that they've had to cover today, but that's what the manager asks of them. And you just wonder, has Aberdeen got many changes to make? Maybe one, maybe more to make. But Celtic have been slightly better without really knocking the door down. So Jimmy Thielen must be delighted.
I go back to Nicholas Kuhn. He's been outstanding for Celtic. Is he still in the park?
It's probably not about individuals now, really, is it? It's probably just the full game, isn't? It's got away from Celtic in a sense up until this point. That's not to say they can't get it back.
As Brendan Rodgers said over in Germany, I think Celtic have been spooked in the second half. I really do. I thought Aberdeen started brilliantly. I think they caused them all sorts of problems. And obviously it was the correct decision. But if Aberdeen had got that 3-2 lead, but look, if you're going to be champions, you've got to take all the plaudits that Celtic do because of their style of play. You get back to Kuhn, Maeda. I don't think it's them. I think the two fullbacks have been absolutely brilliant today.
Right.
Yeah, Aberdeen have defended well. We're in that closing stage, and this is where again, Mark, if you're Aberdeen, because there is no doubt a draw here would be an outstanding result. That's just the reality of it. It did look for a time like they would go on and win it. Now what's going through their heads?
I think they'll stick to their guns. I can't see them falling back. I think they understand where Celtic are mentally as well, because they know any given moment Aberdeen break up and win it, it's an absolute disaster. So I think both teams will slug this out to the end, trying to get a winner, and that's to be applauded really from both sides, because it's what we wanted to see. What the Celtic fans wanted to see going along for a 3pm kickoff was entertainment. Obviously their team winning, but we all want to see a genuine challenge, and I think Aberdeen have shown that they're up to that this afternoon, even if they go on in this next 10 minutes to lose the game.
The beneficiaries here are Rangers, potentially.
Yeah, I was just thinking at you.
Yeah, they go to Kilmarnock and win tomorrow, which I expect them to do, and as things stand at the moment, then only 3 points between Rangers and Aberdeen / Celtic. But it's all set for the grandstand finish for one of them.
Yeah, it's now not looking overly likely, but that's fine. It might come out of the blue a little bit. There was certainly a time when you sort of felt like Aberdeen would get the next goal, but they're not a great deal doing in terms of goal scoring chances elsewhere. Jan Danda missed a decent chance a couple of moments ago for Hearts, but they're still comfortable, beating St Mirren by 2-0. Dundee United 1, Hibs 2, and Motherwell 0, Dundee 1. Are we getting late goals anywhere? Late drama anywhere?
Equaliser for United. Dundee United 2, Hibs 2. That's what I'm going for.
It sounds like they have deserved it, or certainly the goal they conceded was against the run of play. Let's leave some room for that, Hugh. I think we've got a bit of time, but let's do this.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Sonia Luco and Jackie McNamara. I've been managed by Mark McGee and Dick Campbell. I was in my country's national squad but never won a cap. I did win a cup competition and a Player of the Year award for the same club. I am Clangers, Jamie Langfield.
Jamie Langfield, well done if you got it right. Robbie Boyd in third place, Michael Donati in second, and Scott Connie the winner. We've got another goal. We're in late drama territory. Oh, big save there as well from Mitov to deny James Forrest.
With M&D Green Pharmacy.
And we have a third goal for Hearts. 3-0 now. James Wilson, one of the youngsters, scrambles it in, and that is done and dusted if it wasn't before. Hearts 3, St Mirren 0. There was a save from Mitov. James Forrest marks. Celtic haven't offered much, but they might have just taken the lead there.
Well, what a story it would be if it's James Forrest they have to rely on in getting the winner, but that's why he's still in and around the squad, because he can still offer something. And look, Brendan Rodgers said it before. He said it after Ross County. It's in the DNA of Celtic to play to the end. That's why they score so many late goals, and they've got quality at the top end of the pitch. So Aberdeen are just going to have to ride this out. But again, if they get the opportunity, they're still promoting plenty of bodies forward. So it's in the balance right to the end, this one.
They're in a difficult position, Aberdeen, aren't they? They've came from the dead 2-0 down at half time. Nobody gave them a chance. 2-2, they would snatch your hand off for that. Do they be brave and try and get that winner? Would be a fantastic result. Or just say, do you know what, we'll try and see this game out. I think that's a difficult decision for a manager to make.
Go for it.
Would you?
Go for it. You know Celtic are promoting bodies forward as well, so go for it.
As we said earlier though, sometimes we act like that is a decision that's in your hands. It's not always, when Celtic have got.
But I think
Celtic
at this stage it is. I think it is. I think when
it's not automatic. If Celtic keep the ball and you can't get it, how do you have a goal?
But Celtic aren't going to keep the ball for the next 10 minutes, so it's about how you get bodies forward. Do you keep running in behind, or do you try and keep it? Do you try and just slow the game down? Do you try and take it to the corner? I don't think Aberdeen are going to attempt to do that. I think any chance they get, they're going to try and go forward.
I think a draw would be a great result as well. That's
it
the
would
thing.
be. Yeah.
We'll have a look. But remember,
there's no such thing as a moral victory, but Aberdeen would come off of that part were it to finish 2-2 feeling extremely good about themselves.
Could you know? I mean, you'd still be unbeaten. You'd still be level on points at the top of the table. Everyone was talking about how untouchable Celtic were domestically, and you accept that they might be a bit flat if you go to Dingwall off the back of Europe, or you go somewhere sticky. But at home, when you're 2-0 up at half time,
it's a blow to Celtic's psyche, and in particular with regard to the game against Atalanta in midweek. Defensively, they've been exposed and they've looked vulnerable.
To be fair, what we've learned though is actually the link between this stuff and Champions League is sort of irrelevant anyway, because Celtic won 6-0 the last time and it didn't stand them in good stead going into Europe, so they're almost, what's your phrase, separate life forms.
But I just feel Atalanta, formidable opposition. I mean,
but that's what I mean. That wouldn't actually change really, even if Celtic had kept a clean sheet today and been excellent. I think Dortmund sort of proved that. 7 minutes added at Fir Park, Gordon. Your team getting a winner.
Is it 1-1?
An equaliser, sorry.
I thought I'd missed that one. By the sounds of it, no, I think it's been a miserable day for Motherwell and Stuart Kettlewell. He's made substitution after substitution, changed it. It's just not happened. It's not worked. Dundee might have got the confidence from that closed door game.
With a chance there. Aaron Trusty heads over. Austin Trusty. What did I call him?
Aaron.
Do you know the thing is, someone else made that mistake
Sounds
in
like an Aaron
my
Trusty,
company recently, and then that's obviously now planted the seed in my head. Anyway, Trusty, we'll call him, heads over.
Well, it looks like it's headed for a draw. Depending on how much time is added on.
10
in Celtic Park. They won their Fergie's there. It's Fergie time.
Why 10 minutes?
Because Fergie's in the writer's box.
Well, listen, both teams have made 5 subs, haven't they? I think you've had the delay for the Duke disallowed goal. There was a long delay just a minute or two ago. I couldn't. It was it Shaden Morris. He was down on the track side. He kind of collided with the advertising boards, that sort of thing. He was down for a while, so it all adds up, as they say. Joe Newell now sent off for Hibs as well. 2 bookings there.
Come on, Dundee United, an equaliser.
That's Joe Newell out of the Edinburgh Derby then. So
is that next week, Hugh?
Yeah, at Easter Road.
Sunshine of Leith.
And even Jimmy Tilleen get booked. So it's all going on.
Yeah, 10 minutes to go at Celtic Park. Can we get a winner? You wouldn't bet on it being Aberdeen, given wouldn't bet against it being Aberdeen, I should say, given the way they've played today.
But I mean, I'll bow to Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel's superior knowledge. I mean, when you put heart and soul into 90 minutes, once another 10 have been added, that for me leaves the minds get
demoralising.
tired.
It's demoralising.
Minds get tired as well as legs.
Yeah, and you're right, Hugh, because everybody.
The only thing I suppose you would say is it's not like they're under the caution. You know, sometimes when you are, then you panic.
It's the concentration. You've got to make sure you're concentrating all the time, because just one lapse of concentration could cost you probably a terrific result this afternoon.
It's certainly going to be a chance, innit?
Yeah,
for either team. I don't know who it's going to be a clear-cut chance within 10 minutes. The amount that we've seen in this game so far, within 10 minutes, there's going to be one. Who's it going to fall at?
Brendan Rodgers could also have done without 100 minutes before a champion.
Forrest chance again, but he drags this one wide. It's certainly Celtic looking the more likely, but they don't look like they're in the mood for taking one of these chances.
But we go back to it. In general terms, this has been the spectacle that everyone guessed it would be.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
We've got a late goal for St Johnstone.
That was boring.
They've wrapped
Nicky
it up.
Clark.
3-0. See you later. Ross County down to 10 men. They thought they'd scored their third a while ago. 9 men, exactly. Easy 3 points for St Johnstone, and well done to them.
Who scored?
It was
great afternoon.
The previous interim manager's boy,
Kirk.
Mackenzie Kirk. So there we go. St Johnstone 3, Ross County 0. Still in the balance then at Celtic Park. We've got about 6 of the 10 remaining.
Great stuff though. Great. No one's going for the bus early. And Jimmy Tilleen, yellow card and nearly a red face for Celtic as well. But we'll see.
It's funny that when the game's in the balance, the traffic doesn't come into people's minds.
I know.
I'd be away.
Weird that.
I'd be away.
You couldn't leave this.
Yeah, I would.
No way.
For the sake of 10 minutes traffic, 100%. Just listen to you
Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Another late goal. This one for Hearts. 4-0. Blair Spittle with the goal there. What a start this is for Neil Critchley. St Mirren, they always say, never easy opponents. Well, Hearts have made it pretty easy. Celtic have the ball in the net, but a foul from Adam Ida on Dimitar Mitov.
Dramatic stuff.
Not easing up either team. Yeah, and I can't see them nicking it now. I think it'll be a draw. And Aberdeen, a well-deserved draw at that, you'd have to say. Exactly.
Yeah, just that period at the start of the second half.
Here's a historical question. When was the last time Celtic were 2 up?
And I was hoping someone would answer that for me, because I've been trying to think, but nothing's coming to me off the top of my head, I have to say.
Park.
In a league game, like, a domestic game.
Yeah.
Not saying they've done it in Europe either, but
no, but just at Celtic Park, 2 up at Celtic Park and failing to win.
Hibs, maybe? No. John McGinn.
The Rangers not that long ago.
Rangers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Need to be a non. That was at Ibrox though, but still.
Yeah.
That was a 2-goal lead, wasn't it? Yeah, something like that maybe. But yeah, 2-0 up at half time at Celtic Park in a game like this, Hugh, I think you're right, it's certainly worth pointing out how rare that would be, and that's the reality of it. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes remaining of the 10.
As I say, there is no such thing, despite Philippe Clement's attempts at it last season, there's no such thing as a moral victory. But coming off the park, if it finishes 2-2, coming off the park,
that feels like a win for Aberdeen, doesn't it? All day long.
But it's what's inside the minds. Those Aberdeen players are saying, right, we can go back up the road, we've done our job, we proved that we are what we think we are. And the Celtic supporters are thinking, what happened there?
Yeah. And looking at the next few games coming up, and especially semi-final against Celtic, because if Celtic had have given them a right going over today, that semi-final, in your mind you're thinking, oh, this could be another sore one. They'll have the belief that they can go and probably win that semi-final. I'm not saying they will, but they've got the belief now.
Full-time Motherwell will interrupt Fraser if we get any more drama. Still about 4 minutes to go at Celtic, so here's Fraser.
Well, I hope you do get some drama, Gordon, because there wasn't much here today at Fir Park. It finished Motherwell 0, Dundee 1. Dundee deserved to win. Tony Docherty was delighted. The good away performance. Lyle Cameron with the first half winner, but for Motherwell it was a strange day on the back of such a good winning run. They just never got going. They looked lethargic from kick-off. Tempo of their play far too slow, and they were deservedly behind at half-time in a poor first 45. The goal came in 39 minutes. Ziad Larkesh did well on the left-hand side. His cross wasn't properly cleared by the Motherwell defence. The loose ball fell to Lyle Cameron, who finished well with his left foot low from 12 yards. Good finish by the midfield player to finish with an awkward ball. Nothing else on note to talk in the tame first 45. Second half was a wee bit better. No surprise, Stuart Kettlewell did a couple of changes. He brought on Watt and Ibiye. Initially changes though didn't change the pattern of the game. It's still Dundee the better side. Cameron shot just over from 18 yards. Main, that powerful shot was parried by Oxborough. Wide for a corner, then Murray shot hit the side net when he should have crossed. Maybe a tap in from Main at the back post. Stuart Kettlewell made another couple of changes. He brought on two wingers, Mawasinier and Tavares. But Motherwell just still struggling to get back into the game. Ex-Motherwell keeper Trevor Carson not being tested, but there was a danger. Dundee were dropping off and happy with the 1-0 win, and Motherwell began to push forward and take charge of the game, and Lennon Miller probably came closest to getting the equaliser. 25-yard snapshot, struck it really well. It's pushed away to his right by Carson. It was a comfortable save. Sub Tavares then had a decent chance. He blazed a loose ball over from 12 yards. It was an awkward one for him. It bounced awkwardly, but he should have hit the target. But try as they might, Motherwell just couldn't get that equaliser. Threw a lot of balls into the box, but Dundee defended very, very comfortably, and the Motherwell fans really disappointed at the end of the game. They didn't ever look like scoring, and but for Stuart Kettlewell, a bit to think about for next week. But Dundee finished them outright, going very happy after their poor run recently. Good away performance, 3 points up the road, and a very, very happy team indeed. Full time at Fir Park, Motherwell 0, Dundee 1.
Yes, good result for Dundee. Perhaps a disappointing turn for Motherwell, thinking they were on a really good run of form. We've got another late goal, but where is this one?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee United 2, Hibs 2. Lucas Stevenson, Bursic pushed the cross straight to him, and we have a 4-goal thriller there. A share of the spoils by the looks of things. The same scoreline at Celtic Park. Whilst we were listening to Fraser, Paulo Bernardo missed a decent chance at the back post. He just missed the ball really. So probably about a minute to go, just over a minute. Corner 2 to play and a corner to Celtic. Can they score in the most dramatic fashion here and win this game and keep their 100% record going? Both teams at the moment will maintain their unbeaten runs, but someone's 100% start could be about to slip. Celtic with the corner late on, trying to make something happen. What a game it's been either way.
It's been an incredible day of football all round. When you look at it, goals everywhere, and especially this one at Celtic Park, that we're keeping our ears open for any late drama. But even up at Tannadice, Neil Critchley's first game at Tynecastle, good day for St Johnstone. Brilliant stuff all over the country.
Big result that for Dundee, Gordon.
Yeah, it did push them into the top 6. You know, they were struggling. They had a real disappointing result against Kilmarnock just before the international break. They got a closed door game, which they obviously took a lot of confidence against Rangers, and they bounced back, and nobody fancied that because Motherwell, especially at home, they've been terrific.
Free kick for Celtic right on the line.
The goal line.
Some people thought it was a foul for a penalty, thought it was in the box. It's right on the line of being a free kick. Luke McCowan fouled. Wow.
Get your laces through it.
Very close indeed.
Last chance.
Very close. Well, it could have been from the side.
Who's taking that?
I don't know if it's a shooting chance. I don't know if it might be the line.
Oh, maybe the line. Okay. Good point, Gordon.
No, it is. It's shooting chance. Paulo Bernardo, edge of the box. They're hard. What did they say? Too close.
Too close. It's hard to get it up and down.
You're just smashing it, hoping that it takes a touch, maybe, or
a wee one to the side, and somebody just puts their laces through it, as Mark said.
Yeah, right on the line.
Test the goalkeeper. That's all you can do.
Right on the line. You were looking. Maybe VAR would have had a look to see if they thought it was inside, because the foul was already given. So then they would just look to see if it was inside or not.
A dramatic end, either way.
Yes, very dramatic indeed. Paulo Bernardo was holding the ball. It's going to be right on the line. Celtic, if they score here, they're all talking it through, talking the options. This is it. It's the final chance. Callum McGregor's orchestrating things as well. dishing out instructions. Adam Ida wants to hit it.
Oh,
it's
like
right
it.
on the edge of the box. If this goes in, it will be Nicholas Kuhn wants to hit it as well.
I'd let him
They're
hit
all
it.
there.
Nicholas Kuhn.
Yeah.
4 of them around the ball. If this goes in, this will be a huge moment in the Scottish season, potentially. 100 minutes pretty much on the clock. Over the bar.
Oh,
blocked and then over the bar, I should say.
Corner then.
Corner. It is a corner. You're right, Gordon Dalziel. You are right.
Yeah, I'm on the ball.
So blocked and over the bar. So one last chance. Does Kasper Schmeichel come up? I don't see why goalies don't just always come up.
No, because you could break up the park. Duke's pace, boom.
Yeah,
You've lost the game.
It's in the family. Schmeichel used to do it all the time, didn't he? For Man U.
I'll be really surprised if the goalkeeper comes up. Not a chance.
Right, corner. Oh, it's 2 huge blocks for Aberdeen on the line. 2 goal line clearances from Aberdeen. Not in. Celtic thought they had won it at the full place, wondering how the ball's not ended up in the back of the net. It is another corner to Celtic. This is
drama.
unbelievable.
What drama.
Handball check. VAR is having a look for a handball. A 100th minute, 101st minute penalty for Celtic, potentially. VAR.
What a game this
taking
is.
a look. Remember,
I'd be a sickener for Aberdeen.
you've all heard
Sickener.
from Willie Collum. You're looking
Yeah.
for unnatural position. You're looking for arm being particularly raised. Proximity might matter, but it might not. If a player chucks himself in front of the ball and the hand is high, it doesn't always matter how close. Full time, Celtic Park. Gabriel.
Full time. The game has ended 2-2. Celtic players remonstrating with the referee Nick Walsh. The VAR was just looking for a potential handball. I think it was Shaden Morris on the goal line making a huge block, one of several huge blocks right at the death for Aberdeen. The ball went out, so Celtic would have had a corner, but Walsh was checking for a penalty. It wasn't given, and he has blown full time. We're in about the 102nd minute here at Celtic Park, and wow, what a game that was. Reo Hatate and Kyogo scored in quick succession in the first half to give Celtic command of the tie. But what a comeback from Aberdeen. Esther Sokler and Graham Shinney pulling the Dons level. A brilliant match between the league's 2 best teams at the moment, and either side could have won it late on, Gordon. It lived up to its billing and then some. Well, it feels like hours ago now that this game started. Celtic were at it from the off. Although Aberdeen did look like they might be able to stand up to the challenge. They set up the same way they have done for all of their 13 wins so far this season. The deadlock was broken in the 24th minute. Kyogo released down the right, in behind the defence. He waited for runners and pulled it back to Hatate, who finished running onto the ball with his left foot. 2 minutes later it was 2. The ball dropped to Hatate again. This time his shot was blocked by a Dons defender. Kyogo there to sweep the ball past Mitov. Celtic threatened to leave Aberdeen in their wake before the interval, but the Dons managed to stay in the game, just about hanging on. And at half-time, Jimmy Tillin rolled the dice, making 2 attacking substitutions. Esther Sokler scored within 4 minutes of being on the pitch. A brilliant pass from Jamie McGrath. You have to see it. He was sprinting through on goal and finished past Schmeichel. And that rattled Celtic, it really did. Alex Baye then slipped, allowing Topi Keskinen in, who should have cut it across to Duke to level the game. His shot was blocked by Scales, but the writing was on the wall for Celtic. And on the hour mark, Captain Graham Shinney dragged them level. He smashed the ball, deflected and rifled into the roof of the net. Duke thought he'd scored a winner. 10 minutes later, he got the end of a lovely free kick, smashed it into the roof of the net, but then again it was VAR. He was adjudged to have handled the ball in the build-up, so the goal was ruled out. Celtic supporters celebrated it like they'd scored a winner. A couple of big chances at the end for James Forrest with just a few minutes to go. Adam Ida had the ball in the net as well, but he clearly fouled Mitov in the build-up. And then back to the drama right at the finish. Celtic with 2 shots blocked in Aberdeen's 6-yard box. They thought they might have had a penalty in the 101st minute, but Nick Walsh said no. Jimmy Tillin stuck to his guns. His side didn't sit in. They played their own way, and they will not budge from the top of the league just yet. Celtic, for a side in complete control, they look spooked again and poor at the back. Both teams, of course, remain undefeated and level at the top of the league. But Celtic have now not beaten Aberdeen in their last 3 meetings. There is a long way to go, but if this game is anything to go by, we could be in for one special title race. Aberdeen fans dreaming, they'll be dreaming all the way back up to the northeast, celebrating with their players just in front of them here on the Parkhead pitch. Celtic and captain Callum McGregor walking off. They will be fully aware they have a real challenge on their hands. And does this leave the door open for Rangers to capitalise tomorrow? What a game. Full time at Parkhead. Celtic 2, Aberdeen 2.
Give us your reaction to that right now. 01419511025. Sensational stuff. The block on the line from Duke in the last minute, the 102nd minute, is out of this world. Get your calls in, please. Celtic fans, Aberdeen fans. I know we've not spoken to David Friel yet, but we've had a winner at 7 minutes past 5 for you, Roger Hannah, and the game is over at Tannadice.
Absolutely incredible. They have Hibsed it once again. Gordon Dundee United 3, Hibernian 2. Hibs led by 2-1. In the 94th minute, they had gone down to 10 men. Captain Joe Newell sent off in 85 minutes for a second booking. All they needed to do was weather the storm, but they could not. Joe Bursing, the goalkeeper, slapping a cross out at the feet of Lucas Stevenson in 94 minutes. He levelled it 2-2. United would not be denied. They pushed and pushed. There was a ball into the box. In the 100th minute, Bursic came. One of the centre halves came. Neither dealt with it. It fell 20 yards out to substitute Misha Kuboshioma. And the coolest finish, lobbed in off the underside of the bar to give United a 3-2 victory and heap enormous pressure on Hibernian manager David Gray, who has now got just one win in his last 9 games. United led in 20 minutes, a scintillating run and cross by Glenn Middleton, teeing up Sam Dalby for his first goal for the club. Hibs levelled in 43, Warren O'Hara up from the back to head home after Lewis Miller had reached Newell's free kick and headed back across goal. United thought they were ahead. 4 minutes into the second half, again Middleton crossing, Dalby heading home. This time a VAR intervention by the official. Grant Irvin told ref Chris Graham to disallow that one. Then Hibs took the lead against a run of play in 72 minutes. Dwight Gale's first goal for the club from a long cross by Jordan Obita. Gale just on 8 minutes, coming in at the back post to give the visitors the lead. Newell was then sent off by referee Graham for a second booking 5 minutes from the end, and the roof absolutely caved in on Hibernian with those stoppage time goals by Stevenson in 94 and Ubo Chioma, his first Dundee United goal in the 100th minute. The fans poured onto the pitch. Jim Goodwin poured onto the pitch. He slipped and fell on his backside. He won't care a joy. He's got 3 points. Dundee United 3, Hibernian 2.
Unbelievable, and to make it a worse day for Hibs, let's get the Hearts full-time result and report from David Friel.
Yeah, Gordon, I feel jealous of all this drama. It was a lot more straightforward at Tynecastle full-time. Hearts 4, St Mirren 0. We spoke at Neil Critchley, wanted to make a big impression, and he did that. This was a really impressive win. Couldn't really have gone any better. Kenneth Fargus and Daniel Oyegoki, they put them in command. 2 brilliant team moves, 2 brilliant finishes. Really impressive stuff from Neil Critchley's side, and they were just better than St Mirren all day. It was a day to forget for St Mirren. We've spoken, glowing terms about Stephen Robinson's side, but it just didn't turn up today, and it got even worse in the second half. James Wilson, only 17, on as a sub for Hearts. He scrambled in the third, and then Blair Spittle put one into the bottom corner from 20 yards. I think he maybe pulled his hamstring while doing it, but that still didn't take the gloss off. A really, really big win for Neil Critchley. Tynecastle quiet now, but Neil Critchley, happy man. What a start. Full time, Hearts 4, St Mirren 0.
What a day it has been, and the headline act, of course, Celtic 2, Aberdeen 2. Celtic leading 2-0 at the break, 2-2 in the end up, and that barely scratches the surface. So much drama in between. So what did you make of it? 0141 951 1025. Give us a call right now and we'll speak to you next.
Action as it happens, and your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
What a day it has been. Celtic 2, Aberdeen 2. Both remain undefeated, both sitting there up the top of the table, but The 100% records for both go in dramatic fashion. Celtic 2 up at the break, pegged back 2-2. Aberdeen scored, it was disallowed. Celtic thought they had maybe a penalty in the 102nd minute or whatever it was. That didn't happen either, and they have to settle for a share of the spoils. Aberdeen win 4-0. There was major late drama as Dundee United beat Hibs. So it's been some day. A good win for Dundee at Motherwell, and Rangers to go to Killie tomorrow. Let's get immediate reaction right now on those phones. Give us a call. John is a Celtic fan. How are you feeling after that, John?
I'm just sitting the car going out of the game. The second half was abysmal, mate. You're 2-0 up at Parkhead. It should be a fortress there. As I say, it's 2-0 up at half time. Aberdeen could have maybe sneaked it to make 3-2. But as I say, we're missing big Carter Vickers. But I'm not going to single out players. But see your boy Scales. Alright, he's been a couple of good seasons now, but he's not a centre half. That boy is not a centre half. I don't know what position he's going to get into or what he's going to do, but as I say, once a day, as I say, we're 2-0 up at Parkhead. They get 2 each, but as I say, Wednesday night, see they start playing that, you'll get scudded again. That's going to nutshell. As I say, I'm disappointed. I'll just sit in the car going down the road, but we dropped 2 points a day, and they're just getting the Rangers tomorrow. I need a incentive to get back to 5 to 3 points. That's a point of name.
What do you think the difference was in the second half, John?
I just went flat, mate. Aberdeen come out and just ran out of defence. That's what it was, run out of defence. The defence was all over the place. Once again, they're all over the place. That's what's happened a couple of times this season.
I think it's really important, Hugh, that Aberdeen's credit doesn't get lost in all of this. But listen, I know Glasgow, I get it, fine. So do Celtic's failings if you wish, but let's let it be on the record that Aberdeen deserve an immense amount of credit.
The first point to be made is that supporters like John, Celtic supporters, are leaving that match thinking, this doesn't happen to us. But Aberdeen have shown that yes, it can, because of Aberdeen, and also because I agree with John, there is defensive laxity there that was perfectly obvious today. It was certainly obvious in Dortmund. Dingwall was a struggle, and for me, Bergamo on Wednesday is a real worry for Celtic. However, this is our league day, and Aberdeen have shown that yes, at the start of the 4-game block, Celtic away, Dundee United at home, Rangers at home, Celtic away in the Premier Sports semi-final. Aberdeen have shown after game 1 they are serious players in this game, and Celtic fans like John will just have to get used to that. And John says it's an incentive to Rangers tomorrow. It's a worry for Rangers if they don't take advantage, because Aberdeen have stretched their lead over Rangers to 6 points. If Rangers were to slip up tomorrow and Aberdeen are 6 points in front of Rangers, who have to go to Pittodrie in a week's time, then we've got some league cooking away here. So 2 points. Aberdeen thoroughly deserve what they got today, and they are a side in the making. Point number 2, if Celtic play like that in Bergamo, there is another terrible beating coming their way.
I think it was not different, Mark, but maybe stands out this one. Look, you can get games where it's a bit flat and you can't guarantee you're going to blow teams away all the time. Celtic were 2-0 up at half time. I'm not saying they were sensational, I don't think they were, but they were 2-0 up at half time. That's what makes this one remarkable.
It certainly does, because the opposition usually retreat, go into their shell, crumble, whatever way you want to call it, and Celtic usually smell that, sense that, and put the game to bed, and that's it, game over. 3, 4, 5 come after that. But again, Aberdeen stood up to the challenge. Their manager stood up to the challenge and made positive changes. So then what happens after that? You still put Celtic under pressure, and I'll still stand by what I said to Hugh earlier, that because you lose 2 goals isn't necessarily just down to the guys that are playing in the back 4. You have to analyse every part in it. Now, McGrath gets time in the midfield, but he still has to execute that pass round Liam Scales for Sokler to finish. The second goal, you look at Maeda giving the ball away, your team's wide open. Incredibly difficult as a back 4 to defend against that, and you get a huge slice of luck. So those 2 moments get you back to level pegging. Now, where I would say the ball into the box that Duke puts in with his hand, could you defend that better as a unit? Of course you could. And then that's where it kind of finished for Aberdeen in terms of chances. But then going forward, you think of the changing Brendan Rodgers made to try and win the game. Do those players never come under any fire? Should they not have been able to find a way through that Aberdeen defence? And they threw everything at it, let's be honest. Duke's block, Mitof's save right at the end. So there were opportunities created, but I think it's easy just to say you lose 2 goals at Celtic Park, the defence is to blame, Liam Scales is never a centre half. I think that's too easy to point the finger like that.
John, it's only one game, yes. Does this change your confidence in any way? Does it worry you in any way about the domestic dominance you thought Celtic were going to have this season?
It's only 5 points. It's 5 points is man, this league. It's only if Rangers and Murray still, Aberdeen's got they get 2 points a day, but it's only if Rangers won a Morris, didn't they? What is it, 3 points? That's done. That's one game. It's going to be a long hard season, but as I say, Celtic's got the money. Celtic's got a lot of money. Alright, we'll need to wait a January game, but it's just once again the day. You're not 2.5 at Parkhead. There's maybe a team who's compliant to score 2 goals. Couple of games this season, the Falkirk game and another couple of games. The defence is all over the place.
Yeah, it was quite an afternoon. Thank you very much to John. Get your thoughts in and we'll hear them next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
This is always the place to be for immediate reaction on a Saturday afternoon when you get action like we had earlier on today. So let's keep going with Stephen, who's on from Kirkintilloch. How would you sum up that day as a Celtic fan, Stephen?
Absolute horror show, guys. Thanks very much for taking my call today. Get a bit of early venting on a Saturday evening.
Let's do it, that's why we're here.
I think it's an absolutely disgraceful showing in the second half, albeit from the last 5 minutes. They go in for 2-0 up, comfortable in there, complete and utter horror show. Centre halves look as if they could be outrun by an under-18s team at some points. I says, and to be fair, all the plaudits in that game today should go to Aberdeen. I thought they played a great second half, especially with a heart to come back after 2-0. But one thing that really annoys me, why does Celtic always try and win their games in the last 5 minutes instead of the 90 before it? It's great having 35 shots in the last 5 minutes if they go in, but you could be able to play with that intensity with 25, 30 minutes to go, and they just didn't today. So very disappointing, to be honest.
Well, Brendan Rodgers always makes a point, Stephen, of saying that's the Celtic way. Every time he gets a last gasp victory, such as at Dingwall, he always says that's the Celtic way. And that is a good tradition to have. However, I don't think that they didn't try to win it long before that. They were being subdued by Aberdeen. 2 goals in 3 minutes in the first half, and then Aberdeen showed their mettle and then some. So I think Celtic supporters have to get used to the fact that Aberdeen are the new kid in town now, and you're going to have to work some to beat Aberdeen at Hampden in the semi-final of the Cup. Where I do agree with Stephen wholeheartedly, and I again take issue with Mark. I think the general impression for me is that Alex Valle lacks a defensive strength. He's no Greg Taylor, and Carter Vickers is a serious miss, and Trusty and Scales does not look a reliable partnership, and I think there should be fear over the outcome against Atalanta.
I agree with you with Carter Vickers. I think you're a bit unfair on Valle, the left back. I don't think he done a lot wrong today. I think the problem with you've got Stephen's right. First and foremost, the second half, Celtic have no right to come out and dominate the game from the first minute to the last minute. It's up to the opposition, and to be fair to the Aberdeen manager, he changed things at half time, and his substitutes gave him the sort of impact that he was looking for. They were involved in everything, and they caused Celtic problems. I think looking at the game, Celtic's big problem is, and it was John before come on had a go at Scales. There's a partnership for 2 centre backs. Carter Vickers is so important to that partnership, right? Because when he plays with Scales has been brilliant for Celtic. Now, maybe when Carter Vickers plays with Trusty, the two of them. But what it tells me is Carter Vickers is such an important part of that defensive team. But I would not jump on the bandwagon. Oh well, Greg Taylor was I don't think the boy played that badly today.
Stephen, we are the king of knee-jerk reactions here, or the kings of knee-jerk reactions. Is this just one game, or is this the type of afternoon that makes you sort of take stock of everything you thought about Celtic's domestic dominance this season and what it was going to look like?
Listen, I always consider myself to be quite a realistic Celtic fan. I think when we're playing in Scotland, we're expected to beat 90%, as are probably Rangers and now possibly Aberdeen. But I just don't think we can, for me personally, I just don't accept the fact that Celtic are, able to throw away games like that. Listen, the Dortmund thing was more about Brendan Rodgers' ego and his inability to swap to a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1 after 3-1. And anybody that plays football or has played football would have not realised that you had to shore up that defence in midfield when they were marauding through. So manager's got to take a wee bit of blame there. But I'm not saying that we expect to win every game as a fan, And Aberdeen, as I said, she got all the plaudits today. They played really well. I didn't see the handball. I don't know if it was a dubious one for them getting their goal disallowed. But by all accounts, they came out there and they looked as if they wanted to win it. And as I say, I get it. Celtic, we like to get last-minute winners and stuff. But I think that game today could have been put to bed prior to the last 10 minutes of injury time, And listen, maybe it's a reality check that they need. Aberdeen are going to be worthy adversaries this year. There's not many times that we'll be saying that the top two were fighting out today, and they proved that they were the top two in Scotland at this moment in time. So, well done Aberdeen, but yes, I say wholeheartedly really disappointed with Celtic on the whole. And it's not really a knee-jerk reaction. I think when you don't play well, you should be criticised. When you play well, you get the plaudits. But when you're better than everybody else in your country, when you don't play well, you should be criticised, I think.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I need to get the statos on it, Hugh. I would just love to know the last time a 2-0 half-time lead was surrendered by Celtic.
And that's why I think the Celtic fans are shell-shocked. I mean, someone will tell us how many years we have to go back, but Stephen and John before him, they're shell-shocked. Subconsciously they're thinking, that doesn't happen to us. It just has.
Mark, it's difficult to sort of, know. Only time is going to tell what today was. Was it a one-off? Is it a sign that Celtic are not as far ahead as everyone thought they were? How are we realistically going to know? But it certainly has breathed a lot of breathed a big bit of energy into what Aberdeen are doing, surely. Because if you can then make this statement, actually some of the stuff is unfair, probably. Well, I think it had been about who they hadn't played. I know the way you were coming from it. Well, it's just a fact they hadn't played Celtic, but what a statement that was today.
It certainly was, and that's why Stephen's right. Aberdeen take huge credit from today. In particular, see that period where they lost the second goal to half time, to try and hang in there, which they did. But then again, the manager making the changes and still being brave to get bodies forward and try and get back in the game. So tells you an awful lot about Aberdeen, tells you an awful lot about their manager, what his principles are, how they're going to continue to play, and the other teams will know what they're coming up against now. And for Celtic, again, Stephen's right, it tells you a lot about Celtic as well. When you look at Celtic this season, they have been brilliant domestically, but when you look at the teams who have pressed them high up the pitch, Borussia Dortmund gave the ball away time and time again and were punished. Look at even Falkirk. We praised Falkirk at how they went after them and they ran beyond them and they got their rewards. And Aberdeen, 3 teams.
Rangers did though.
Rangers did, but Rangers, once they were played through, Rangers almost cut their own throats. Rangers just retreated.
I just mean
those other teams were brave throughout.
But, I mean, Dortmund are Dortmund. I sort of knew this would happen because I've seen some tweets already like, see, all you need to do is go and have a go at Celtic, and this is. I just don't know if it's always that simple because, like I said, Rangers really pressed Celtic. We were all in awe in the first 10 minutes
Yeah.
about how, you know, so I just don't know if it's that simple, is it?
No, it's not that simple. But I just think the changes at half time, Aberdeen come out, got a little bit more confidence, got at Celtic a little bit, caused them problems at the back. The substitutions were brilliant for Aberdeen. Celtic they don't dominate, even domestic, they don't dominate for 90 minutes. There's a period when the opposition will get the ball and get involved in the game, and Aberdeen made that time count today because they punished Celtic. And you've got to say, I thought organisation for Aberdeen was brilliant second half, because you look, they had a great chance at 2-0 to get it back to 2-1 before half time. But if you flip the coin, Celtic fans would be looking, thinking, do you know what, this game should be away for Aberdeen, should be 3, maybe 4, the way we've played and the chances we've created. But sometimes you ride your luck at Celtic Park, you get yourself into the game, and all the credit in the world must go to Aberdeen.
Gordon, I'm not saying it was that simple.
No, Rangers, not you necessarily, but
the difference between Rangers and Aberdeen. Rangers pressed Celtic for the first 10 minutes of the game, got played through once and retreated, but then didn't do the dirty side of the game. They had runners coming off them. Aberdeen did both. They pressed high up, but their back line, as mentioned, that their two full backs didn't let runners go in behind. Their centre halves defended the box. Their midfielders done the dirty side of the game. That's incredibly difficult to do. You see the Aberdeen players with cramp, and I think Thielen and the Aberdeen players take huge credit from that. But it's how they get the result, and Celtic find it difficult to play against.
Did today show Aberdeen are there to stay up near you, Stephen?
Listen, I think you've got to respect them. I know it might sound the old cliche and as if I'm kind of digging the Rangers, but it's not. They're the top two for a reason. They'd won all their games each, respectively up until today. That was probably a fair assumption. Probably Aberdeen never really deserved to lose that game based on their second half performance, and Celtic probably never deserved to win it based on their second half performance. So, I think Aberdeen are here to stay, and so it should be. For a couple of years now, Celtic and Rangers just kind of have a free rein, and it's only ever they two. So, we can't complain when they come up and improve, because that's what makes the league more exciting. As I say, all the plaudits today go to them. In my eyes, they played. Their second half performance was really, really good, and I think it just gives Celtic a wee warning shot. That the two at the back, Ernie is mobile. My son plays under 11s football, and I coach him, and I'm telling you, we don't defend like that sometimes. The Aberdeen's equaliser, Scales, was ridiculous. That's something I would maybe show them at training. Next week when we come back, how not to defend. But listen, Aberdeen, I think, are here to stay, and the semi-final will be good.
Listen, I'm going to pick you up on that, right? Because you're looking at it from a Celtic point of view. The ball played through absolutely killed Scales, right? It was one of the best passes I've seen for a long, long time. And I'm looking at Scales and I'm thinking, right, you're in a decent position, but the ball, and Mark touched on it, it was absolutely sensational. So sometimes, as much as you can criticise, well, have a look at Scales, you could have cut that out. I think you've got to give a little bit of credit to the opposition. I thought that ball through was brilliant.
I was going to say, I'm with you, Dad. How would you teach how to defend
you couldn't
a kid
defend
against that, Stephen?
You can't defend that.
You look at when that ball's played, and you look at Liam Scales' positioning, right? You watch it. As soon as that ball's, as soon as the ball's played, Scales, it looks as if he's turning, right? He doesn't make his very first initial move. He's already beaten after the first step.
Mate, see if Callum McGregor, Hatate, Ingalls, anybody at Celtic plays that ball, you're on here saying what a world-class pass that is.
Yeah.
That's what you're on saying. So, and because it's against you, and I totally understand your heart, because you think that game's in the bag at half time, so did I for Celtic. I just think looking at the quality of the ball kills the defender, mate.
Okay, we'll leave it there, Stephen. 01419511025. We can't be too far away from hearing from Brendan Rodgers. Let's get Charlie's thoughts. Charlie?
Yeah, some game, right enough. I think Aberdeen have shown they're title contenders or second place contenders. But my question is, my point is, what happened at the end? How did you not get a penalty kick? How did Celtic not get a penalty kick at the end?
I don't think it hit Duke's arm, did it?
It looked like it to me.
It didn't look like it to me, I have to say, but you know,
it was checked, obviously checked, and you know, VAR decided it wasn't a penalty in the same way that VAR decided, Charlie, that Aberdeen's third goal should be disallowed for handball.
A lot going on with Duke's hands.
Yeah. By the way, what 45 minutes he had.
He was involved.
He was involved in everything.
I knew somebody would reduce the whole game to an allegedly dodgy VAR decision. We've had the best league game of the season between two flawless teams, and it cannot be allowed to be summed up with an allegation, an unfounded allegation of handball. It was checked by VAR and ruled out by VAR, Charlie, in the same way that Aberdeen scored and theirs was ruled out by VAR. All part of the big afternoon's excitement.
Some game, but it did look like a handball to me. So Aberdeen are going to take points off Rangers this season, no doubt. Aberdeen are going to finish second.
Well, they've already taken points off Celtic, so if I was Philippe Clement, I wouldn't be looking forward to Pittodrie on the 30th of October. Always a tasty fixture at the best of times, but this Aberdeen team have the bit between their teeth. Dundee United's thrilling finish today. They'll meet at Pittodrie against Aberdeen, the once upon a time new firm. It's a great cause of excitement brought about by Jimmy Thielen's arrival from Sweden, and it's a building story, and it's good for Scottish football.
What a day. What did you make of it? Give us your thoughts. We'll hear from the managers next.
The experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevans, Gordon Dalziel and Mark Wilson all here on 01419511025. That is the number that you need, so get in touch. What a day it has been. So much reaction coming into today. We probably won't get the full preview of tomorrow, Hugh. I could be wrong. I'm doing that thing you do. You throw those generalisations out there.
Yep.
I'm not detecting wild celebrations from Rangers fans because they know it's to come tomorrow, and they know that could be tricky, and they maybe also know that they might have Aberdeen and Celtic to overcome this season, judging by what we saw today.
On the one hand, the draw today is an incentive to beat Kilmarnock and to reduce the deficit to 3 points. The draw today also puts Aberdeen and Celtic 6 points ahead of Rangers, thereby increasing the deficit. If they fail to beat Kilmarnock, then it's an unhappy afternoon for the Rangers fans. So the Rangers fans are not celebrating wildly tonight because they don't know what's going to come next from their team. Never mind anybody else knowing.
Let's bring in Linda, who's a Celtic fan. How do you feel after that today, Linda?
To be honest, Gordon, I was, obviously a wee bit disappointed we never got the 3 points, but it brought back a lot of good memories as far as I'm concerned, when it wasn't a sort of foregone conclusion. We were going to sort of wipe the board with, Aberdeen or Rangers, and it just brought back a lot of good memories that, and, although I'm a Celtic supporter, I don't, and as far as I'm concerned, whether it's Aberdeen, Rangers or whatever, it was good to get that bit of competition that we haven't sort of been faced with recently when we're sort of wiping the board with a lot of domestic teams, and I was actually quite excited.
Wow, excited at dropping points.
Linda's right though. The game was enhanced. The Premiership was enhanced by Aberdeen coming and doing that. Hearts and Hibs have had a poor start to the season. They can forget about finishing top three because of Jimmy Thielen, who might yet finish second and not third. I can't believe he'll go on and win the league. That would be the story of all time. But the game today was enhanced by having a Premier League fixture that looked as good as that one, that had as much excitement as that one had. And maybe it was Fergie sitting in the stand that brought the nostalgia into the conversation, but Linda's 100% correct. That's the way it used to be.
It's a difficult one, isn't it, Gordon? Because I would be the first to sort of promote the positivity of it, and I mean, what a story it would be if Aberdeen could stay there. But there's then that unavoidable bit that really Celtic should not be run close by Aberdeen. And I know we want to give them credit in it. So again, I'm happy about it. I'm fine about it because I'm on the outside. But realistically, can Celtic fans take joy from the fact that Aberdeen are there to run them close?
No, I think if you look financially, then obviously it's disappointing for Celtic, the amount of money that they've put into their squad. Aberdeen lost their best goal scorer and one of Scotland's top goal scorers the beginning of the season as well. But I totally agree with Linda. I think that's a great call. I played in the days when Aberdeen were a real force, and as much as they were a thorn in the side and cost me a couple of Scottish Cup medals, Fergie came down to Glasgow and dominated, and Aberdeen were the top side, went on to win the league and cups and whatever. I'm not saying like Hugh that they're going to win the league, but I think it's refreshing, because Linda's right. Even as a Celtic fan, you don't want to be going along there every week domestically, because what you end up doing is, when you get into Europe and you get beaten Europe, the first excuse you come out with is, we're not getting tested domestically. Well, the second half they certainly get tested domestically, because I thought Aberdeen, for the first 20 minutes, I thought they were excellent. Yes, they were hanging on at the end. That was to be expected. Celtic threw everything at them. But for Aberdeen to keep this going, and you look forward to their next 2 or 3 games, semi-final at Hampden against Celtic, I think that's great for
this. This is the Aberdeen who, less than 2 years ago, went out of the Scottish Cup to Darvel. Now they're coming to Celtic Park, going 2 down and getting a draw. I know it's a different manager and different players, but this is where they have come from Darvel, from a succession of failed managerial appointments, from the wee comedy role that Neil Warnock played. Now they come back as a serious proposition.
So it doesn't worry you, Linda, going forward? You just think it's maybe a kick up the backside?
It doesn't worry me at all. I still think Celtic will win the league, but it makes it so much more exciting domestically, and it's been a wee while since I've had that sort of off my seat experience, to be honest, which I think is great for domestic football, to be honest.
And you're right, Gordon. I'm going to write that down. I'm glad you reminded me, because when we get a Dortmund, there are a lot of accusations that, well, what do you expect? Celtic don't get challenged domestically. So if they get something against Atalanta, make sure everyone phones in, and it's all thanks to Aberdeen. It has to be.
Listen,
you can't have it both ways.
It is good for everyone. As much as Celtic fans today will be disappointed, of course, because they support Celtic, they want to see Celtic winning every game. I totally agree with Linda. I think for Scottish football, I love the competition.
Okay, let's hear from Brendan Rodgers. These were his post-match thoughts.
Obviously disappointed, I think, when you're a Celtic player manager, when you drop points, whether it's home or away, but especially at home, you're disappointed. So now we got punished for being careless, I felt, in that 10-minute period. We had good control first half. Should have been more in front. And then probably around about that 50th minute to 60th minute, a little bit passive without the ball, lacked aggression. And when you play how we play, if you don't have that, then there's a space for you in behind. And they finished it well. And obviously in the second one we're careless, we give it away in a really poor area, and then they get the goal for 2 each. So, but then after that we go again, and I think whatever it was, 32 shots or something in goal, and that mixture of really good defending by them and really good goalkeeping, we didn't get the winner. So but yeah, we were careless in that second half.
Yeah, I suppose, Mark, if you're going to have a bad period in the game, you can't allow it to derail the full match the way Celtic did there, because if we're saying they had certainly the better of the entire first half, they then finished the game the stronger, how do you get that bit that's left so wrong, as Celtic seem to do?
Yeah, well, 10 minutes, he's right. I think he's spot on there with his analysis. There's 10 minutes in that period, and again, saying of the day, credit to Aberdeen, because their players executed it and took their opportunities when they were given them. He's talking about Jamie McGrath there probably having time to turn on the ball and have time to play the pass. I think he's having a go at his midfield there rather than Liam Scales, because he highlights the space in behind, and then he's having a go at Maeda there for giving the ball away in a poor area. and I think he's right. But look, they threw everything at it, and he's right to highlight Aberdeen defended brilliantly. It's all right talking about them going forward and how brave they were going forward and pressing, but their goalkeeper made saves, Duke with a block in the line, so huge credit to them. But these things happen at Celtic Park.
I did not expect the day to end with Brendan Rodgers saying careless, passive, lacked aggression. That's a fairly damning verdict on his team.
It's true.
At that period, though, he was talking about just 10 minutes.
How does that happen? Because, you know, as I said before, generally you get those days where the full thing's flat and then all of that's sort of missing. He's probably had a pretty positive half-time team talk where he's quite happy with what he's seen. He's saying, how does it disappear? And then it did come back, but I take it, you know, what the guys were saying, there is an inevitability. If it's Celtic 60,000, you're going to be able to throw something at it at the end. But
again, that's got to come down to players, hasn't it? Because if you have a positive team talk and everybody's happy and the players then switch off, I know it's a term nobody likes to hear, but that's what it looked like at that time. Maybe thought they were on easy street, and maybe thought it was an Aberdeen team that came to Celtic Park a year ago and lost 6-0, and they might have thought it's going to end up like that.
I think Aberdeen
are better now.
I think Aberdeen caused them problems with the tweak at half time, because Aberdeen brought on pace, guys that were prepared to run in behind, guys that were prepared to be, you know, brave and threaten Celtic's back four. And I don't think Celtic handled that very well. And I thought Aberdeen for that 15-20 minutes were excellent, and they deserved to get back in the game. Yes, for sure, Brendan Rodgers can talk about, well, we had 30 odd shots at the end of the game or whatever it may be, but then you've got to look at Aberdeen's side. They defended brilliantly, because, you know, the last couple of minutes when Duke had that great block on the line, I just think that Aberdeen today, I thought they were going to take a real sore one after half time. I think they deserve all the credit in the world.
Okay, just before we go, a quick nod to tomorrow. Here is Philippe Clement.
A very tough one, we know, and they say themselves also last couple of days what they're at. So it's a place where you need to adapt to the circumstances, and that's not an excuse, for sure not. So you need to adapt to that way, the style of play they have and the surface you play on. And it's a team who likes to compete with the old firm. They're looking forward to that. So we're looking forward also to battle to get the 3 points. And I saw the game of last season, so that was for me the first experience there. So I want to repeat that experience.
I guess, Hugh, the challenge is for Rangers to, yes, acknowledge it is going to be tough, as Philippe Clement says, but just at some point going to have to be inspired when opportunities come your way, and that's what happened today. Both of the teams above them dropping points.
The Rangers fans are looking at Philippe Clement tomorrow, and they're looking at those players, and they are saying, you have been handed a gift. You had better accept that gift and not turn it onto the other side of the coin, which is that Aberdeen and Celtic are tonight 6 points ahead of Rangers. If they are still 6 points ahead of Rangers at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Philippe Clement gets it in the neck here Monday 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I think so. When you've dropped 5 points already in 7 games and you get an opportunity like this, you can't let it pass you by. So hugely important tomorrow, so early in the season as well. And we've all seen what Rugby Park brings, the challenges it brings. I don't really know what to expect actually tomorrow from both sides. Kilmarnock been poor at times, but they'll be feeling good about themselves after winning the last game at Dens. And Rangers, you don't know what you're really getting from game to game, so it's going to be an intriguing one tomorrow afternoon.
I expect a very difficult game for Rangers. I think Kelly will fancy it. They've come off a good result against Dundee, but I think with the fact that Celtic and Aberdeen are both drop points today, great incentive for Rangers. I think they'll win it, but I think they'll need to work very hard for it.
Oh, what a day we have had. Well done to Celtic and Aberdeen for serving us up one of the games of the season. We can say that to begin with, and then both sides can battle out in terms of who did what well, who did what not so well. It was a share of the spoils, a 2-2 draw, Celtic 2-0 up at half time, Aberdeen fighting back, some VAR drama in there as well. A sensational game, a brilliant win for Hearts, the first under Neil Critchley. A late piece of drama as well, seeing Dundee United beating Hibs, and Dundee coming to Motherwell and maybe flipping the form table on its head a bit, beating Stuart Kettlewell's side. St Johnstone, comfortable afternoon from them, so a really interesting Saturday. And then on to tomorrow. How will Rangers fare at Rugby Park? Whatever happens there, we can talk about it all, every single bit of it, on Monday night from 6. Enjoy your Saturday night in the company of the GBX.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Audi. Book a test drive for the fully electric range today. Head online for details.
Oh, must be the new parent posse chat. We're not even new. Our kids are 8. Or, as Eddie says, 96 months. He moved off grid. Can confirm he's still on grid. And he's got another one on the way. He won't have the coverage to live stream the birth, will he?
Well, here at Tesco Mobile, we've made sure he has 99% network coverage. So he could if he wanted to.
Oh, sign me up.
It pays to be connected. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. Over 99% UK population coverage on 4G.